touchdowns. Mike Evans caught 2 of those, now up to 99 career receiving play. Atlanta now 3-2. Tampa Bay falling to 3-2. In other news, the Chiefs placed wide receiver Rashee Rice on injured reserve with a knee injury. Rice out at least 4 weeks. Head coach Andy Reid said Thursday the team is still waiting for swelling to go down in Rice's knee before making a full evaluation. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmett Smith on behalf of Depend, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing catch. Because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, Depend is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 40 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield Guards Real Fit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300,000 void in Mississippi.
.602, good morning, happy Friday from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Kirk Cousins was on fire last night. $180 million quarterback threw for a career high and an Atlanta franchise record 509 yards and 4 touchdowns. The last of them, a 45-yard scoring pass to Kaderil Hodge in overtime that gave the Falcons the improbable 36-30 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some injury updates from around the league. Browns running back Nick Chubb said Thursday his surgically repaired left knee is feeling good after his first practice in more than a year, but he is unsure when he will make his season debut. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid told reporters that they want to wait to see the swelling go down in Rashee Rice's knee to subside before the wide receiver undergoes additional testing next week. He was added to injured reserve yesterday. And Colts running back Jonathan Taylor says he's still dealing with an ankle sprain and isn't likely to practice today. Nothing serious, but there's still a lot of uncertainty around his availability for Sunday in Jacksonville. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
A very happy Friday to you wherever you are around Middle Tennessee and around the world. This is RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, 615-737-1045. How you talk to Robert Walsh, then talk to us, as well as the beautiful people of Nashville, Tennessee. Coming up this morning, Brent Hubbs previews Tennessee and Arkansas at 7:20. We're going to give you our BVS meters heading into the Vols and the Hogs tomorrow night in Fayetteville, Arkansas. We're going to talk about Titans trade candidates because, believe it or not, there are not a lot of games until the trade deadline in the National Football League. What does that mean for the Tennessee Titans? And a Friday visit with Ron Slay, which only could possibly be electric. Today is Friday, October the 4th, and guys, Kirk Cousins is him.
He balled out last night.
500 yards, and it's because he learned what swag surfing was last week.
Good for him.
There's a 1-to-1 correlation between swag surfing knowledge and 500-yard games in Atlanta Falcons franchise history.
No doubt. Well,
Overtime win for them.
Swag surfing through a little rhythm in his hips for his throws.
Maybe just a little bit of culture is what he needed on those footballs, spinning
whatever it is,
towards
he got
receivers.
it done, man.
So what you saying, after the game, he went and picked up some lemon pepper wings, too.
He may have. That may have been something that transpired. Yes.
I'd love to see if Kirk just holding up a wing drum.
Bring the chains with him.
Bring the chain, 2 chains with him.
That's right.
Yeah, he looked good last night. The Falcons look good. I mean, what, they have over like 500 yards of offense.
Good. 500 yards passing.
Passing alone.
Yeah. In totality, Kayla, it was 550. Yeah.
And then you never usually see a team like when you talk about Tampa Bay, it's not like Tampa Bay didn't have anything going for it. I mean, they finally kind of put together both their backs with they had a good run game going last night with, 160 yards rushing. Usually you don't see teams lose games with 160 yards rushing. But then when the other team, in terms of passing yards, was 477, that was wild.
This is what happens when you can have a quarterback that passes.
True.
Right? 160 on the ground allows you to eat up a lot of clock in a sense. It's supposed to.
Yeah.
And having a guy that can then sling it through the air, this is the X factor right here. But this is also a very savvy guy that understands where he wants to go with the ball. A divisional game on Thursday night. Like, what a matchup it was. I was turning it on. I was like, okay, what's happening right now? And Keisha was like, no, Mom, they're locked up 17-17. And I was like, wait, on a Thursday night game? I actually, of course, I talked big yesterday about the Tampa Bay Bucks, and lo and behold, young king by the name of Kurt.
It's turning it on.
Did his thing, man.
And they were talking about him maybe starting the season, interception rate. They were kind of like, he hasn't been the Kirk Cousins. This offense hasn't completely clicked. Well, it looked like it clicked last night. And especially, you love to see Drake London get involved, but I'll give that Tulane shout out. Darnell Mooney, these Tulane kids are all over the league right now doing big things.
Or like the new Mac.
His drop is why this game needed to go to overtime. He played really well, and then that comeback round ate him up, and it was, I thought they were done. They were done last night. Kaderil Hodge, the guy that comes in for a 45-yard walk-off touchdown, the play after Drake London gets hurt in overtime. That's next man up right there.
That is next man up. And you mentioned time of possession, Kayla. I would have thought Tampa Bay ruled it with 160 on the ground. No. Atlanta controlled this game. Over 30 minutes of possessions for them, man. Good football. Hopefully that's a preview for what the rest of the weekend is going to be. But Atlanta's got a squad. As long as you got a quarterback that knows where he's going with the ball and that can spin it through the air, man. Kyle Pitts doing it. It was everybody played a part last night. Mike Evans, when does he ever just get tired of just being him? Like, legitimately.
And it's not been his best start of the season either.
Right.
But he still turns it on when he needs to.
Turns it on when he needs to.
When he needs to get in that end zone.
I enjoyed watching a matchup we don't usually see in primetime. I'll be honest with you. This wasn't bad NFC East teams. This wasn't, the Cowboys. It wasn't, respectfully, Ramon, the Steelers or AFC North teams that we see all the time. No, but like,
I know what you mean.
The Steelers are a national brand. AFC North football gets shoved down our throats so much in primetime. A, because it's usually entertaining, but B, like, this was the first Thursday night football game on Prime Video ever in Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It took them 3 years to get there for the first time. And I don't know. It's just cool seeing a different stadium, a different fan base, a different matchup. This is not what we typically get in primetime football in today's NFL. And I have like national brand fatigue in NFL football right now.
I'm with that. I truly can't understand it because it's the same story. It's almost like the networks think they know what's going to work every single time.
It's Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. It's Josh Allen. It's Lamar Jackson.
L.A. every once in a while.
SoFi Stadium or the Vegas Stadium. And then just the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Like those are all that's 90% of your primetime football games every single season right there.
I will say something, though. Thursday night football this year, for the most part, has been way more competitive and interesting than when they first started this. Because I remember when they first started Prime.
It was a throwaway game, I felt like.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. It was so hard to even stay up to watch any of that stuff.
Yeah, it was. I used to feel like, okay, well, they got to make sure everybody gets a Thursday night game. So this is where you get the throwaway games and stuff. So, yeah, it was like that. Even when it was, I never forget, my first one was Pittsburgh-Cleveland. And it was just one of those matchups like, why do we play this game right now?
What was it, like 5-2?
Well, it was low because they ended up beating us my rookie year. And it was freezing like crazy. But I was like, well, Cleveland's terrible. Why would they get a primetime game? And that's the way I always somewhat felt about like the Thursdays. They were the throwaway games. Now, Prime is invested. Big time.
Yeah, they are.
3HL has a whiteboard back there they use for things. I think we should have on a whiteboard, Bert, if you're up for this, Ramon's first dig at Cleveland every morning, and we set an over-under at the time where Ramon is going to take his first shot at the city of Cleveland. This morning it's 6:10. The sun's not up yet, but Ramon's digs at a city he hates. They are up and moving around.
The people of Cleveland are awesome,
yeah, they
okay?
are. It's just the city.
You know where it may have started?
No, you're either all in or all out. All right? Not just the Browns. No, I hate those ugly people. That's what I want to hear from you. That's the hate that I want on a Friday morning. We say it's Friday, we're going to act like it. I want to hear you act like it.
You know what it may have been?
Those people. No, they're not. They cheer for the Browns.
I ain't got no problem with the people as much. What I'm telling you, even though they probably hated us and barked at me, now I will say this, though. I see your hate for Georgia fans that walk around, roof, 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 roof. Like, why are you doing that? Because Cleveland fans do that. And I was just like, you understand, that's an ugly-looking dog on your head with the fake plastic
Sir, you're
stuff
a grown man with a 12-year-old child beside you.
Look at your kid. You're hurting him by growing him up like this is all I got to say sometimes, okay?
That's true.
But you know what I think where I think it starts from? I don't think it's because I feel like they didn't value me. Like, I really thought Cleveland wanted me, like, in free agency. When them fools offer me, it's a first world problem somewhat, but in today's economy with inflation, not really.
Give it to us.
I had a child, okay, that I'm trying to take care of. Them fools offered me $2,500. And I was just like,
wait, $2,500 for what?
yes, signing bonus.
Yeah. Oh, hell no.
As an undrafted.
Even I'm saying hell no to that.
What's wrong with you? They did not want me, man. They didn't want me long enough, hard enough, okay?
It's all right.
Well,
Pittsburgh offered me
worked
8.
Out.
Okay, there it is. It worked out,
Way
and
better.
I won. They'd have to. I calculated one time. They would have to win like 12 years in a row to just even up with like Pittsburgh's record against them,
Isn't
like
that
both
nuts
games. Yeah,
to think about.
that's just in my era.
It's two polarizing like
Crazy.
organizations.
Hey, I'm done. Well, see, we can hate the Jags here or the Texans or the Colts. We got.
I mean, but the Jags and the Texans at least have never been good enough for me to really care about them. It's like hating Kentucky football. It's like you got to hurt me a little bit for me to actually care about you.
It's really Friday.
615-737-1045, the number. It is true, though, that any father who barks at someone else with their son nearby needs to be reported to Child Protective Services.
They do.
Coming up this morning, Brent Hubbs at 7:20. As always, we'll preview Tennessee, Arkansas with him. 8:20, going to talk Titans trade scenarios because the Titans have 4 games left until the NFL trade deadline in 2024 on November the 5th. That'll be a lively discussion coming up in hour number 3. Going to preview the biggest games of the NFL and college football. Ron Slay at 9:20. Fun to be had by all. But coming up next, we're going to tell you how many teams are legitimate national championship contenders through 5 weeks. Because, guys, I have question marks by more teams than I have bolded as certains in answering this question. We'll do that coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for United Structural Systems, man. They are a foundation repair and waterproofing company, have served the Middle Tennessee area since 1994. They got more than 25,000 satisfied residential customers. So when it's hot or the weather's dry, do you notice like soil cracking and pulling away from your home, leaving holes or gaps next to the foundation? It could actually happen because of the wet moisture too, man. But what I'm telling you is this. These are all signs of possible foundation issues. Your house may be trying to tell you something. On the waterproofing side of things, that can include drainage or sealers, oftentimes both. Up to 50% of the air you breathe on the first floor of your home is the air that came from your crawl space. So control that moisture and create a healthier home for your family by encapsulating your crawl space. Many repairs are guaranteed for the lifetime of your home. Why? Because USS has been here since 94. They aren't going anywhere. So when you work with a new guy in town, you have no guarantee that they will be around to ever use that warranty. With USS, you will. We guarantee our best. Call USS. You can call them at 615-488-7855 or online at USS.
RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will getting started on a Friday morning. 615-737-1045. How you join us in studio today with a full slate of NFL football, college football coming up this weekend, even though the Titans are not in action. Of course, we did meet with Mike Keith earlier this week, so we don't have him at 8:20 today. However, we do have Ron Slay at 9:20.
Oh,
there we go.
And he has been active in our F&M Bank chat all week, so I'm sure he has lots to react to that we have talked about throughout the week as well.
He does.
Friday energy with Slay. I don't even know if we
thing.
can paint the picture of that.
We can. You just got to Bob Ross's thing and just
wherever, a good thing.
Wherever it takes you. Yeah, wherever it takes you.
Guys, we had this conversation before the season started, and I feel like at the midpoint or close to midway point of the college football season, it is a relevant topic to bring up again. How many college football teams could legitimately win the national championship this week? We've had 5 weeks of the season. Before the season, we only mentioned, about 4 or 5 teams?
Yeah.
Maybe 5 or 6 teams?
Yeah.
What does that list look like today? Because I feel like we're going to have 5 teams that are definite and then everyone else. What do you guys think?
My definites, Bama, Georgia, Texas. I'm not sure on Ohio State just yet. Not just
Why
yet.
is that?
Because they blasted through Michigan State this past weekend. Their biggest test to me is just always going to be, okay, whether they play USC this year, and I have to check the schedule to see, or the Michigan game.
They got Oregon next week.
Oregon and Michigan are the two that I think you can judge it on as far as saying if there are contenders or not. And I'll be honest with you, I feel the exact same way about Tennessee. And the same way as just saying, all right, who's definitely in? Like, I think Tennessee is very, very, very strong, but I got to see them in this Bama-Georgia matchup.
Well, over the next couple of weeks, I do think it is more than a 1-game season for Ohio State this year, or really the 2-game season, right, that we've had the past few seasons, where it's been Michigan, Penn State. They get Iowa tomorrow. They go to Oregon. They get Nebraska in Columbus, and they go to Penn State. So that's a team we're going to learn a lot about over the next 5 weeks.
And I think that's where I'm at with this. I'm still kind of not ready to say I've got a long list of a guaranteed. I feel like they're going to be, national contenders. They all, the teams I'll give you in just a second, they all have the ability to be, but there's games coming up that are going to be very telling in terms of if I'm a complete believer. I absolutely think Alabama is a contender, 100%. After what I saw against Georgia last weekend, I believe in Alabama. With saying that, I still think Georgia can be that team. However, and just the comeback that they were able to have. However, I think they've got games coming up that, including with Tennessee, that I could be skewed the other way, because Tennessee's on my list of could be a contender at this point, just because when you look at them on paper, statistically, they're top 3, top 4 in both sides, on both sides of the ball in total defense, total offense. I mean, this team is cooking right now, and I know they've got some big games coming up, but if I'm going to say they can be a contender right now, I truly believe that. And then Ohio State, I do want to put them in the mix, but right now that could flip with this Ohio State game coming up in 2 weeks. I think that's where I might flip on Oregon if Oregon wins that game, or if Ohio State wins that game. I'm definitely saying Ohio State's in.
Of the teams you have listed, Will, I'll tell you who's not. I don't think Notre Dame. I don't think Missouri. I don't think Ole Miss. I don't think Penn State.
You don't think Ole Miss? Hold on.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Why not Ole Miss?
Because Ole Miss dropped their biggest game yet so far to Kentucky this past weekend.
See, I'm going to push back on that. I don't think that disqualifies them from being a national championship contender.
Straight up?
Well, imagine when a Florida team led by Tim Tebow lost to a bad Ole Miss team in Gainesville. Did that disqualify them from being in the national title picture? To me, what matters is, do they get better after it?
Oh,
because in today's era of college football, you can survive a home loss to Kentucky and still have a seat at the table when the season is all said and done.
Who writes their schedule is the only thing that I see in this one.
Greg
and it's
Sankey.
Nobody. No.
Partially. I mean, they can't control their SEC schedule.
He big dog right now in this sense, the way his comments came off these past couple of days, okay? Right. My man was really in his bag in that comment, okay? I'm sure we'll talk about it more. He was, and I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. But there's nobody that writes Ole Miss's schedule to me. in a sense because, all right, they beat South Carolina. They're not ranked yet either. Okay. At LSU, can we? If Kentucky got them, can they actually go to Death Valley and win there? And then, of course, the Georgia game. I don't see them getting past those three.
Yeah,
I don't see them getting 2 out of 3 of those. I can see them losing LSU and Georgia.
At least Georgia is at Ole Miss. At least they've got that. But still, Georgia's got a lot of growing to do at that point too. But they're still, I think, maybe the better team right now.
Georgia at Ole Miss, from my understanding, like the way the way social media is speaking of their crowd this past weekend versus Kentucky, like it's not that treacherous going into Oxford. So I logged that one to Georgia in that sense right there. Yeah. If they just so happen to do it, then they do us a favor, completely honest with you. Yeah. Okay, but I don't believe enough in Ole Miss at this point, considering that they lost. I know it was a tight game in Kentucky to say that they'll get up out of this schedule and should deserve to be in the top 12.
I know that you have Clemson on this list with a question mark, Will, and Clemson is just an interesting team right now because I think we've known that they've had improvements, and Cade Klubnik included in that, their quarterback. We've seen some growth from him. But it's just hard to come back from what we saw in the beginning. And I know all teams are going to grow throughout a season. I'm interested, though, if they can work themselves all the way back, because I want to believe they're getting to be a better team, but then I always have Dabo in the back of my mind. It's like it just haunts me. Like Dabo, it's still Dabo.
I don't think he's a bad coach though. Once the season starts, it's the roster management piece for Dabo that's the challenge for him.
Mm-hmm.
A one loss don't kill a team though. I will say that if they can run the gambit at the end of it, Ole Miss, for instance, Ole Miss do their thing down the stretch, they deserve to be in there. Me personally, on what I saw from Jackson Dart against Kentucky with a really stout defense, and we believe that Georgia will probably readjust, right? We believe Oklahoma will play very tight defense against them. Like, those are the things that bother me about what Ole Miss is.
Sure.
That Kentucky game, the way their schedule was set up with the non-conferences, they couldn't afford to have a blemish that early on it.
I think there are 5 teams that you can't even debate are set in stone national title contenders. Those teams are Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, and Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the top tier. And I honestly think that Tennessee is the next team at this point. And the only thing that holds me back from saying that they are put in Sharpie and with those top 5 is what NC State and Oklahoma have looked like against other competition besides just Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I think we expected Tennessee to be more tested on October the 4th this season than they have been by really good competition. But I will say they have been tested by what I think could be a borderline very good to elite defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how much I respect Oklahoma's defense. And they came out of that one alive running a pretty vanilla, hey, just run the football and manage the game plan away from home. So yes, Tennessee has absolutely been tested, just maybe not to the degree that we expected on October the 4th at this point of the year.
And like you said, being tested, it is hard, and sometimes you do see it come back to bite you a little. I mean, we kind of saw it with Ole Miss. They weren't tested until Kentucky. But, Ramon, I think you were saying with Ohio State, they haven't, they had played some cupcakes too, and they didn't look phenomenal
in the
against
early
those
parts
teams,
of those
right?
games. Yeah, the first halves of them, you're right.
It always took them a while to get the gears grinding. But I think it's, at this point, I think it's okay to say, maybe Tennessee hasn't played the greatest teams in the country, but they've played teams that have good things about them, especially Oklahoma with the defense. That's a freaking great defense. I watched it against Auburn too.
Yeah.
That's a really good defense.
I will say, I do think Tennessee's that next step after that 5.
Yeah.
I can admit that. And I'll be real with you, that's a little bit of my recency with the Vols too, to seeing if they can close and finish. Mm-hmm. That's where my hesitation put them in. If you say the top 5, like put them in a 6. Because again, they've checked every box you need. They have the quarterback, they got the run game, they got the defense, they got the bodies, right? They made it out of Norman, Oklahoma with 2 backup tackles, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, good teams do those things right there.
I think that's what makes the Arkansas game tomorrow really interesting. Teams like Alabama and Georgia consistently go to SEC road environments where they're 2 touchdown favorites and handle their business.
Georgia.
And this is a new step for this Tennessee team because it's not often that they've been 2 touchdown favorites away from home in the SEC. This is uncharted territory in a great way. And we're going to learn a lot about this team tomorrow night, I think, in the way that off of a bye week, they handle a tricky opponent. I think Arkansas is a good enough team to be categorized as tricky when you go under the lights and play them in their building.
100%. And here's the thing that gets me too. Anytime you add in, and that's my biggest point on speaking about Georgia-Bama, a mobile quarterback. Right? I don't care if they're a silky smooth runner or a powerful runner like Jalen Milroe. Like, controlling and containing them is always an X factor. So the fact that you have what you expect to be a championship defense to carry on the road, like the defense supposed to carry every single week. So if there was a 1A, 1B, Tennessee's my 1B is outside of that group of 5 that you mentioned right there. I don't think that we'll see Penn State make it out of the Big Ten.
Because I think they're the next team.
You think they're the next team. But matching them up against Ohio State, Michigan, I think they might be able to get Michigan if they got them this year.
They're better than Michigan.
They're better. And that's...
I mean, Indiana might be closer to Penn State than Michigan is this season with Kurt Cignetti. I do think that Drew Aller, 71% completion percentage so far for him this year. That's not a team that's really been tested either, but 21-7 against Illinois, the best feather in their cap at this point. And, Illinois still covered in that game in Happy Valley, but you've got a Penn State team we're going to learn a lot about over the month of October as well. UCLA this Saturday, well, that's a cakewalk.
Right.
At USC, at Wisconsin, Ohio State, Washington.
Are they at Washington?
No.
Okay, they're home.
Yep.
Penn State is just always that weird team to me.
They are.
In the Big Ten, I don't really know who they really are. Even when the season ends, I'm like, okay, you were good, but you weren't great.
And that's the kind of team now that's going to make the 12-team playoff.
Exactly.
It is.
Yeah.
You're 100% correct.
And whether they can get, further in that part of the 12-team playoff, that's to be determined. But I never am completely sold on Penn State, if that makes sense. There's always something that...
Because they got two big dogs in front of them at all times.
Yeah.
They're running, trying to catch up the entire year.
They've been a Tier 2 Big Ten team.
Yes, they have.
Despite still being a top 10 college football team.
They're still relevant as heck.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that they're about to do it, I see the national narrative behind them again. Notre Dame's going to jump back up.
I just can't believe in them.
I think that we have to rewire our brains, shout out Will Levis, about the way we view early season losses. Because there's more to play for now if your team gets better. And I think that is a tricky part now of we are watching a 12-team playoff season happen for the first time. And we don't know how much the carrot being dangled in front of you of, hey, you may have lost to a MAC team, but if you get better and if you keep improving as a program, you're going to have a chance to actually still live up to your preseason expectations. And, Clemson, you may have had your butts kicked by Georgia. But, hey, now you're actually looking like the team we thought you might be week 1 and when the season started. And then all of a sudden you start to view those losses within a different mindset and perspective to say, well, wait a minute. Actually, Clemson did have some good plays against Georgia. They did.
Yeah. And this is where coaching can really come into play as you get towards the end of your regular season schedule and you're gearing up for the playoffs. Like, how good is your team really from the start to the finish? Like Will said, I think you could see some teams that really do bounce back and then they get a chance to play for more, not just the bowl games. They're getting a chance to play for a national championship if they can ease their way into that playoff picture. Then maybe you put some matchups into play in terms of, is it on the road? Do you get home field advantage? It can get really interesting. And that's where maybe you do see a little bit of an upset in one of those situations where Notre Dame can knock off someone or a Clemson.
And of course, the height, I guess, the anticipation of that Notre Dame USC game, how that looks, depending on who beats who or how entertaining it is where one of those two can crawl right back into the top 12. It's just going to happen. Again, that early year loss can be forgiven. It just is what it is. It's going to knock them as far as seeding, but that's exactly what it's going to be with those two.
Tony on YouTube asks, why is the narrative we will learn what Tennessee is this week? Feel like Oklahoma and NC State answered a lot of questions. They did answer a lot of questions. But the beauty of college football is you have to keep answering different questions every single week. And Tennessee was in different environments against NC State where they were in a neutral site against a team we didn't know a lot about. Unfortunately, now we know that their offense stinks and they're not as good as we thought they would be. In Oklahoma, I think we now know the offense isn't as good as we thought it would be, and none of their receivers are healthy. So again, like, you've got to keep doing it. And that is the sign of a championship contending team is you don't slip that level of consistency and preparedness, and you still continue to have the same results week in and week out, especially away from home.
And can I add to that, just being somebody who has covered the SEC, I'm not from here, but I've covered it for a long time. And I will tell you, it's important too, because every single game in the SEC, almost every single game is a test in some way, especially when you go on the road, because all these teams are playing really good football for the most part. Yeah, there's a couple outliers, but any given week, I feel like if you've got a team that is going to give them your best shot or whatever, you're gonna get it, and you've got to be on your game.
Yeah.
You can't be turning over the ball or whatever it might be. So this is a test, I think, just because it's on the road and people want to see a little more out of Nico Iamaleava probably. We know what the defense is, I think, at this point, but there's always, like Will said, there's always little questions you want answered. But I also think you're going to get an SEC team's best shot every time. It's just different football down here.
It is, and that to me is the point of it all. Like as far as like him saying, I think Tony said, well, you guys put Oregon ahead of Tennessee in the top 5. Like my thing is I think Oregon's pathway in the competition they're going to see is a little less competitive to what Tennessee's got to go see. Like right now, I still look at Bobby Petrino and say he can call it. Yeah. He's got some time to scheme up against this Vols defense, and he's got a quarterback that can make plays. Plus, and I'll be honest with you, I'm a little SEC biased and saying, got to go on the road to Fayetteville. It's going to be toxic, a night game. I don't know if Oregon has that many type of environments that they got to go play in, right? Yeah. And when you look at
the big house,
yeah, they'll play in the big house, but will it be at nighttime?
I mean, it'll either be at noon or at night.
You see what I'm saying? So that to me is the expectation of SEC play. Like the ball can bounce anyway. Looking at Kentucky versus Georgia, Kentucky versus Ole Miss, South Carolina versus Kentucky. Like though there are 3 different matchups right there, and it had very different outcomes in all of them.
Yeah, just the middle of the SEC is just a significantly bigger challenge than the middle of even still the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's right. And there's teams, I think, that are better in the Big Ten that we're seeing, like in Indiana and in Illinois.
Yeah, that show up.
They're showing up for sure, but it's still, it's not the same. Like every week is not like that.
It doesn't just mean more.
I mean, I hate to admit this because I'm not that part of the conference, but it is. I'm a neutral person here, and I'm just telling y'all, it is just a different thing.
Like I
down
don't
here. Sorry.
It's nothing to apologize
for. No, I'm sure I'll get hate from my friends back home, and
tell them.
You've been in the SEC too long.
There's no debating. I mean, it's better here.
Yeah, and I've covered the Big Ten too. So
tell them appreciate the streams though if they're listening and criticizing.
Oh yeah, tell them. Bet.
Oh.
Coming up, let's talk about a classic Big 12 program, Arizona State.
Oof.
Has some penalties, and some of these are funny in a sad way and funny in the NCAA is just really stupid way. We'll give you details of that coming up next. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. Do you have a ceiling light fixture that flickers? Do you need an extra outlet or two? Maybe you've just got wall switches that don't seem to work the way they're supposed to. Well, these all seem to be simple issues. However, they are rarely do-it-yourself projects, especially for me. I try to do things myself. I end up just making the problem even worse. Dealing with the electricity, well, that requires the expertise of an experienced professional. You got to call the pros over at League Company. Their electrical team can solve any problem you have safely and efficiently. And right now, you can enjoy $20 off an electrical service call for a limited time. Contact League Company today at 615-567-1000 or go to leaguecompany.com for an appointment. That's 615-567-1000 and enjoy $20 off an electrical service call today for a limited time from League Company. That's leaguecompany.com. League Company, all you need. RKW, wrap it up. Hour number 1 this morning on 104.5 The Zone. Your Friday morning starts with us. And in a half hour, Brent Hubbs of All Quest coming up, talking Tennessee and Arkansas. Guys, the NCAA has put Las Vegas Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce in a little bit of trouble. 8-year show cause penalty for recruiting violations that occurred while he was at Arizona State. In a release yesterday, they say he violated the principles of ethical conduct for impermissible recruiting activities during the COVID dead period. At the time, Herm Edwards was the head coach at Arizona State. So according to the NCAA, there was a scheme. Oh, sounds like a 1990s cartoon, like a Scooby-Doo episode. There was a scheme on unofficial visits from Arizona State, free meals, apparel, airfare, and lodging for 27 prospects. But that's not even the crazy part.
Tell us.
On top of these activities occurring during a dead period, the meals, travel, expenses, and entertainment are all considered impermissible recruiting inducements. The entertainment included taking a prospect's parents to a gentleman's club.
Where do I sign?
Please and thank you. Okay.
Robert Walsh, Arizona State University.
If you don't know Arizona State University, let me give you a little background.
Biggest party
on
school in the country.
Let's just say every female, every lady there is very beautiful. But let's just say it's not natural.
Hey, it don't matter if
You
it's
can paint the
natural or
picture
not.
yourself.
I'm trying to go wherever Antonio Pierce was taking them folks. They call them AP is what I've heard them call them. Okay, wherever AP was taking the parents, probably the
Arizona,
dads.
baby.
I need to be there with him. Okay, he's just showing us the city to where we don't want our kids to go or not go to. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yep. I remember when Herm got to ASU and everyone was so excited he was taking over, and you looked at the staff, like all the names, and they were like big time names, clearly. Antonio Pierce, one of those guys, former players, all that. And then just like 2 years later, it was like, and they are having violation after violation. And that program has been in the dumps ever since.
But this is what also happens when you have to oversell your program too.
Yeah.
Like at the time, were they Pac-12 at the time in a sense, or they still Pac-12?
No, they're in
Big
the
12.
Big 12 now.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody in the Pac-12 other than 2 teams.
What was I? I knew that. What am I? I'm tripping.
Yeah, we
All
don't claim
that wasn't
the
even no
Sun
shot,
Devils anymore.
Kayla. That wasn't even no shot or nothing like that. Okay.
We at least stayed. Didn't bail.
But this is also what happens whenever you have to sell the program in this NIL era. And also, I will say this too: getting NFL coaches on your staff. This is a lifestyle that they live in a sense. It's like, and the other part of this, they were recruiting a bunch of former NFL players' kids.
Yep.
So Antonio Pierce may have only just been taking out some of his former comrades in the NFL. So I don't know if that's bumped into it, but if I'm not mistaken, Ryan Clark's kid was there.
He was.
There was a few others that were around, and RC ain't that type though.
I'm trying to see what that.
My theory is that they were searching for new dances for turnover celebrations.
There you go.
If I'm Antonio
Perfect.
Pierce, you know what? We are looking for local talent that can teach us new ways to celebrate turnovers. I mean, Miami's got the chain. Ole Miss has a basketball hoop now.
Yeah.
Give them a poll.
Yeah,
I mean, put a poll on the
there's a
sideline.
seat that you can sit on. Like, I'm taking parents to the strip club was not on my bingo card for
Gentlemen's
Arizona.
Club, Ramon. That was not in.
Gentlemen's Club.
That was not in the NCAA's official report.
Gentlemen's
Make
Club.
sure
The
you get
turnover
that right.
poll would go crazy.
That's all I'm saying. That is all
I
I'm
think a
saying.
team might need to do that.
Well, you go over to a turnover poll. You get a to-go little thing of wings. They got a little bit of lemon pepper on the wings. You get an extra side of ranch.
And they
That's
spray
what
you with some
Antonio
cigarette
Pierce
cologne.
was just
love
trying
it.
to see. He's like, you know what? We got to do something local.
Right? Something local that really.
empty Hennessy bottles
Yeah.
or just like Jack Daniel
Crazy.
bottles on the sideline. Like we can do those things now. Who's mad at Antonio Pierce for taking him to the gym?
The NCAA.
8 years is a long time.
That's a
too.
really long
This was the
time.
funny part of it. So this was a 67-page report. A 67-page report on how many violations there were and the punishment and everything. Said it is also noted that, quote, Pierce did not fear the potential consequences
That's my boy.
for NCAA violations due to the financial security provided by his self-proclaimed wealth.
I'm trying to see what that be like, right there.
It's like when your teacher, like you get in trouble for not doing the homework, and then your teacher then makes the punishment worse because you weren't sad enough about the punishment you were given originally. It's like, well, if you're going to have that attitude about it, then I'm going to take away recess today too.
There's an old saying is, look, you shouldn't battle somebody if you ain't got enough cheese. Antonio Pierce pretty much said, I got enough cheese to fight these alligators.
Like Tavondre Sweat of Miami said, I'm like that.
I'm like that. But it's what Arizona State needed at the time, though, okay?
I don't think anyone needed people to take parents to a gentleman's club.
Well,
I mean, they're of age.
Why I gotta sit in my hotel room while this kid goes to a campus party? Look, if RJ's at a point that he's gone, somebody at Knoxville taking me to the mouse ear, okay? That's all I'm saying. We're going
What is
to
the mouse ear?
See, if you asking questions, Kayla, you can't go. That's all I'm telling you.
Well, I'm going to look it up, or can I? Or am I going to get in trouble on this Wi-Fi?
It is just funny how the NCAA is publishing a 67-page report. Like, this could have been sent in an email. The NCAA is such an unserious organization to... I mean, look, we're giving guys 8-year show causes who are NFL. Oh no! Like what?
Yeah. What did Harbaugh get? By the way,
I don't even remember. I mean, I think his might have been 10, maybe.
No, I don't think that was even that long. I'll have to look it up here.
This is what happens when you hire homies, man. Like, this is why you got to, like, have a separation of just friends and jobs, because Antonio Pierce is a friend.
I'm telling you, that staff was loaded.
It's a different kind of friends of the program. Took a new meaning at Arizona State University.
No. I still don't know.
Who's friends in low places?
Jim had 4 years.
4 years. There we go. So even half that, Jim had half that for actually, being involved in stuff that involved football. On the field.
Why have friends in low places if we can't use them?
615-737-1045, our number. There's nothing else I need to add to that one. You covered that one.
You know this right on my alley.
That wraps up the hour.
Coming up, the Thursday night football game was good. The football was good last night. What did we learn about a couple of teams that look to be in the mix of good? Are either of them great? Kirk Cousins, great guy, had a good performance last night. We'll talk about that next.
It's Ramon and Kayla here for Window Nation. Hey, good people, October's the best time to get new windows, because right now, if you buy 2, you'll get 2 free and pay nothing with no interest for 4 years. Kayla, so look cool in the morning. Tell them how they can save some money on the energy in their home.
It is cool. Yeah, I haven't turned my heat on quite yet, Moan, but that's coming. And I know a lot of you, maybe your significant other is going to crank that heat up once it gets cool, and you want that heat to stay in. If it's not, you probably need new windows from our friends at Window Nation. And like Moan said, October, probably the best time to do it before it gets really chilly. One of the customers, Albert, saying great value, great product, great customer service. He highly recommends it. And Window Nation, all they do is windows. So they're truly the experts. Their professional installation teams have over 10 years of experience, 96% customer satisfaction rating. And you can also go online to look at Google reviews. I know I like to do that a lot to see what real people are saying. They have over 33,000 5-star reviews on Google. So check out our friends at Window Nation right now. They got an offer going on for you. Buy 2 windows. You can get 2 of those free, plus no down payment, no interest, which is big, and no payments for 24 months. All you got to do is check them out at windownation.com or call them at 866-90-NATION.
This is your off-the-track racing report, brought to you by Nissan of Rivergate.
Down at Dega, the NASCAR Cup Series and the 2024 playoffs continue this weekend at one of the circuit's most celebrated tracks, Talladega Superspeedway. After a runner-up finish last week, William Byron sits atop the driver's standings, followed by defending series champion Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell. Blaney is also the defending race winner, having won last season's race on his way to the Cup Championship. On a track famously known for having the big one, Dega is expected to play a large role on who eventually advances to the round of 8. Only Talladega and the Charlotte Roval remain before the next cutdown. Sunday's Yellowwood 500 is set for a 1 p.m. start on NBC.
This has been your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by Nissan of Rivergate. Have you ever noticed how many car dealerships there are in the Middle Tennessee area? And they all tell you they have the largest selection and the best prices in town. I'm Liz Allison, and I'm here to tell you how to make your life easier. Head straight to Nissan of Rivergate. They have a great selection of new Nissans and the best service around. I know this because I'm on car 3 from Bob McCracken and his team at Nissan of Rivergate. Cut out the dealership hopping and make Nissan of Rivergate your only stop. Nissan of Rivergate, 1550 Gallatin Pike North in Madison. NissanofRivergate.com.
What's going on? 7:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. And happy Friday. I'm Robert Walsh. Kirk Cousins was on fire last night. The $180 million quarterback threw for a career high and Atlanta franchise record, 509 yards and 4 touchdowns. The last of those, a 45-yard scoring play to Kadarrell Hodge in overtime that gave the Atlanta Falcons an improbable 36-30 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got some injury updates from around the league. Browns running back Nick Chubb said Thursday his surgically repaired left knee is feeling good after his first practice in more than a year, but he is unsure whether he will make his season debut in Week 5. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid told reporters that they want to wait for the swelling in Rashee Rice's knee to go down before the wide receiver undergoes additional testing next week. And with the Colts running back, Jonathan Taylor says he's dealing with an ankle sprain and isn't likely to practice for the rest of the week. It's not serious, but there is also a lot of uncertainty around his availability for Sunday in Jacksonville. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Seven a.m. in Nashville, and hour number 2 begins right now on RKW. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 615-737-1045. Vols fans, what is your confidence level for Tennessee and Arkansas? We typically hear from our good friend Zach at Hendersonville, who has got quite a high bar to live up to for his weekly Vols poem to get ready for their upcoming matchup. Brent Hubbs of VolQuest will join us in 15 minutes. He'll give us the latest out of Rocky Top as they travel to Fayetteville. And there ain't no Ville in Fayetteville. It's Fayetteville. You spell that V-U-H-L at the end of it.
Vietnam.
Oh, goodness.
Shout out to J. Cole.
There you go. That's a different Fayetteville.
That's a different
But we'll still allow it.
We like that one.
See, I knew that.
No, that Fayetteville's even worse.
Okay,
I promise it's worse.
Please don't do that to me.
Last night, a great Thursday night football game. Atlanta had a 5% chance to win this game with 1:52 left. Things dire when Kirk Cousins threw a pass into double coverage. Levante David with the pick. 1:52 left. Tampa had it in plus territory, leading 30-27. And because of penalties, they went backwards and had to punt to Atlanta. Guys, I think Atlanta did something really smart in this game last night because they went for it 4th and 15 on about their own 20-yard line, knowing that if they turned it over and got a 3 and out, they would get the ball back more quickly. Because you're right there in the middle of the field or in field goal range instead of a team that would have to drive all the way down the field. Hey, they get 1 first down. Hey, then at that point, like you're just kneeing on it and you're able to defend less of the field. I thought Atlanta really impressed me last night. 36-30 in overtime, getting the win over Tampa.
And that also, solidifies the moves that Atlanta made this offseason, too. Of course, going to a new head coach, so you got to find who's the defensive guy, but then you got to find a way to generate and find balance on the offensive side of things. That's where, getting Kirk Cousins for what they got him for is paying dividends now. He spoke about like this, teams that don't necessarily get primetime games, Atlanta this past, and that $50 million was probably made back last night to Kirk Cousins. You know what I'm saying? Just off the back of what he did. Especially in a game like
that.
Oh, no doubt. He became, he checked another box with the talking heads around the NFL at this point about why you go get a franchise quarterback and pay him that types of money. Like for all the ones that we can trash, like he ain't worth that. Kirk is put it on his back last night, man. What was he? 58 passes. God, dog.
509 yards is a Falcons record for one game.
And his personal best as well. I think his last personal best came at 462 years ago. So he clearly continues to cook. And I think that was my biggest question for Atlanta coming into the season, because there are a lot of people that liked Atlanta this year to win the NFC South. But I just needed to see Kirk, come back from that Achilles injury. and feel like I was, okay, he's back to being that Kirk. And clearly last night, I think that was the breakout for their offense this year. Because I did, listen to the pregame show on Prime last night, and I know Kaylee Hartung did an interview with him pregame right before it started and asked about why hasn't this offense clicked yet. And he said it's just taken some time with a lot of newness. Kind of like what you think about the Titans situation too.
Exactly.
Does it take one game to maybe have everything click? Well, this could be that moment for them, and maybe the Titans still, have that moment coming up. So.
The thing about Atlanta, they've won games too. It's just they hadn't won it in this fashion with the offense that they expected to be out there. But again, look at the tale of two quarterbacks though. Both of them had really good nights. Both of them. Kirk, 42 for 58, over 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. Baker, 19 for 24 for only 180 yards with 3 touchdowns. Like, that to me signifies.
They ran the ball a lot too, Tampa.
They did. They had 160 on the ground, as you said earlier. But it just shows you can win football games in different ways. Both teams over 30 points. I know they had to go to overtime for it, but both teams over 30 points in a spot to where each quarterback played their game. And that's where I feel like this fan base is trying to figure out what is Will Levis's game. Not to make it about him, but that's what we're asking for right now. Is what is Will Levis's game? Baker Mayfield, no interceptions, 1 sack. Like, that's what we're looking for.
I would love for Will Levis's game to be exactly what Baker Mayfield was last night.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Because he was watching the middle of the field, and on a 3rd and 3, Falcons send a blitz, linebacker goes out of the middle of the field. Baker Mayfield looks at one receiver, recognizes the linebacker's not in the middle of the field, runs, slides, first down. I think there is an element of Will Levis's legs and athleticism that you would like for him to use more of, but unfortunately then that puts him in a position to also get hit and not slide more. So it's like if Will Levis could learn how to slide and learn how to protect himself, I could see him having success running a similar type of offense to what Tampa's running with Baker.
Yeah, because you see it can be done. You can still be somewhat of a mobile quarterback when you need to be if you're just smart about it. And Baker's had a lot of time to do that. What is this, his 7th season in the league? So he's had some time to make sure you know how to take care of your body. I think eventually Will Levis figures it out, but at the same time, they kind of need him to figure it out sooner than later, here at least, because I don't know how much time he has for them to make the decision.
And here's the thing about the quarterbacks getting hit too. I think quarterbacks should get hit. I do think, if there is an element of your game where you can run the ball, where you can get the extra, make it 3rd and 1. As long as you're protecting yourself as much as you possibly can, the hits don't matter. It's a matter of how many you are taking. Like Baker, he's not as big as Levis is. No. And he took a mean
He took a
hit.
couple last time. Yeah, he wasn't sliding every time.
No, it wasn't not every time. And I can live that life.
100%.
As long as we're smart about the balance of the game, because that helped their squad out last night. But to your point about getting Levis to be Baker in a sense of his QB rating is 137.5. He was dealing.
The processing speed was very quick. He was processing information the defense was giving him very quickly. And it was, again, closer to not college offense, but closer to what you see a lot of college quarterbacks do, where if your first read's not there, just tuck it, man. Just get out of there.
You create the threat. And that's the one thing I don't think Will Levis has on just in his back pocket. There's no real threat there. We'll let you get the 20-yard dagger down the field, but where is Levis's threat to your point about Baker? Oh, it's not there? Watch me go.
Right.
And uses his legs.
615-737-1045. Zach, next up on the phone lines this morning, talking Vols. What's up, Zach?
What's up, Zach?
Good morning, Ramon, Kayla, Will, Bert. I just have a few things to say about some hogs. All right, let's get it. Kalen, you're no Cam Newton Green.
Freaking bum.
Jerry, worst GM in the NFL, Jones.
Freaking bum.
Felix, first round buster, Jones.
Freaking bum.
Clint, thanks, bro, Storner.
Freaking bum.
I just have a little poem for the entire University of Arkansas, and it goes, Cracker Jack, broke down Cadillac, Sam Pittman's big back, riding on Bobby Petrino's motorcycle rack. Taylon Green and the Razorbacks are going to spend all evening laying on their cracks. It don't matter. Vols by 50. Hit that music, Bert.
Let's go!
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Had to get the motorcycle reference in there.
Had to get the motorcycle reference in there, Kayla.
Wouldn't have been right
Zach in
without it.
Hendersonville.
Nope.
Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. And we transition from that to coming up next, VolQuest Brent Hubbs. I wonder if Brent knows what precedes him on every show. I know he listens to us, of more than just a decent amount, but I wonder if he knows right before he comes on air what's happening.
An eloquent poem.
I hope so.
Please let it be true.
Brent Hubbs of VolQuest talks Tennessee, Arkansas with us next.
One thing that really makes Genesis Diamonds stand out from any other jewelry store is it's the education you get. These are not clerks behind the counter. These are seasoned pros. They know everything there is to know about diamonds, and they will take the time to teach you in a way that's transparent, informative, useful. They'll even teach you how to buy like a dealer buys. They will show you the inside secrets of the diamond industry. They will show you how diamonds are priced and graded on the world market and how you can maximize your budget, which is clutch. They will also teach you about lab-grown diamonds and how you need to be very, very careful with where and how you buy these. All this can be done in a relaxed, no pressure expectation kind of atmosphere. They know most guys don't know much about diamonds like myself, so they're committed to teaching you, not selling you. Then when you're ready to buy, guess what? Genesis will give you access to one of the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds in America. They will let you see 10, 15, 20 diamonds in your price range side by side so you can make an intelligent decision. I'm telling you, if you're diamond shopping, this is the place to go. It's a no-brainer. The education you want, the selection you need, the price you deserve with zero risk, zero pressure. Genesis Diamonds voted best jewelry store and the best place to buy an engagement ring 10 years in a row. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Prince's Hot Chicken, the original hot chicken. They know a thing or two about hot, so they're bringing you the hottest moments from RKW throughout the week in a segment I like to call Prince's Hot Mic. Actually, we have live audio from when Kayla hit her one bet.
Hey,
I did win my Army bet, 42-14, because I came here bragging last.
Nobody respects the troops more than you.
And you would have had 2 wins if the teams you picked would have had
good players. I can't wait to rip the buttons off your shirt. I don't want to physically harm you today, okay?
Why do you have a button-up shirt? That's my biggest question.
Exactly.
I have to be professional Bert today. Or Robert, not Bert.
Who is Robert?
A loser.
It's not the positive self-talk we're here for this morning, Bert. We got to start over and get a new attitude.
You're right. He's a good guy.
Yeah, all right. Come on.
Oh, my gosh.
This is okay. All right.
You can use that
I
so
like
much
the drop.
now.
I like the drop now.
Hot Mike's Hot Chicken. Prince's knows hot. Prince's Hot Chicken, the original hot chicken.
Friday morning on 104.5 The Zone, we talk Vols each and every Friday. Presented by Ascend Federal Credit Union, your financial partner for every stage of life. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, RKW, with our good friend Brent Hubbs of VolQuest and On 3, previewing Tennessee and Arkansas. Brent, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. I hope you guys are great on a Friday morning.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, yes, Brent. We are, Brent.
Oh, Ramon, what is this, 3 in a row?
Record
You're on a streak, baby.
They call it
Break up the band. We got a streak going.
They call it a turkey in both.
A turkey in bowling for showing up on Fridays. Unbelievable.
It is almost
actually doing my job out here, Hubs.
I love it.
I'll be honest, hanging with the dude that's from Franklin, okay, this past Monday night, I had a Mike from Franklin. I was tired, but I said, as long as I can make it to Friday and be with my dog, Brent Hubbs, and I'm good to go, okay? So
at some point, don't you look at him and go, man, can you just relax a little? Like, just for a minute?
No.
Just for a minute.
I'm telling you.
Just for a minute, please.
He is a hoot on those trips in a professional way, though, okay? I just leave it like that.
Relentless.
That's
right.
Yes,
there you go.
Is.
I love it. Brent, it's an interesting week for Tennessee because I feel like a lot of people that support the Vols have their battered Vol syndrome, their BVS flaring up just a little bit. This is a tricky game, Brent, and a 2-touchdown favorite, yes, but a difficult road environment. What is Arkansas's pathway in your mind to making this game interesting and challenging this Tennessee team?
I think they've got to run the football effectively, which nobody's been able to do against Tennessee, but they've got to have some balance. You look at them statistically in wins that they're running it twice as much as they're throwing it. That they've got to be effective running the football, and then they've got to be great in red zone defense. You know, Tennessee's got to finish drives. That's just, you know, Oklahoma offense had 3 possessions inside the 20. They only scored 1 touchdown out of it. You know, they get that first big play to Brew. They end up with 1st and goal at the 9. They get nowhere and have to kick a field goal. Tennessee's got to finish drives in the end zone. Arkansas wants to limit them to field goals, run the football, try to shorten the game a little bit, get a turnover here or there, and that's how Arkansas is in the game. So Tennessee's got to go take care of Tennessee, and they've got to play well in this one. Because if you let that place get going, it is sneaky loud. It can be, I mean, louder than Oklahoma. And we talked for 2 weeks, it felt like, about the crowd noise at Oklahoma. You got to get some doubt creeping into Arkansas early and get that thing to where it becomes pretty quiet. And it will become quiet if you can get out of the gates. But the longer you let them hang around, the louder that place is going to get.
Brent, how much healthier is Tennessee now out of the bye week? We've talked a lot about Lance Hurd and John Campbell. How many bumps and bruises does Tennessee feel better about now going into this matchup?
Oh, I think a lot. And obviously it starts with Lance Hurd. I mean, Hurd went from out to not even on the injury report. He's practiced all week long. It's a big deal for Tennessee to get him back. He had 13 knockdown blocks against NC State, played well. They're different when he's not on the field. John Campbell, you hope, can go longer, but I think you understand that, you know, you're probably going to end up platooning some with him and playing 2 guys, which is not the end of the world. They did that in 22 opposite Darnell Wright. What you don't want to do is you don't want to be platooning both sides, because then you got to give help to both sides, and now you got schematic things offensively that can cause you a lot of problems. If you need to give help to one side, that's certainly doable. So getting Hurd back is big. Boot Carter's back. Obviously, he got banged up in the Oklahoma game. Never a worry there that he would be back. But the open date came at a good time. You go through a month grind of fall camp, and then you get 4 games under your belt. It's a good time to heal some bumps and bruises, reset. Some young guys to catch their breath who are playing football to, you know, make sure that, you know, it's not just about game planning that week. You're getting all the concepts down. I think it was a huge week for Mike Matthews. I want to see what his role is with this offense this week and moving forward, because, you know, he missed most of fall camp with a hamstring. He goes out, he plays in the last couple of games here, and then, you know, you get a week off to kind of, all right, let's review what you've done. Let's self-scout you. Let's figure out areas you need to improve. So I think for some of those young guys, it was big to get that as much as it was to heal up some bumps and bruises.
Brent Hubbs of VolQuest and On 3 with us this morning. Hubbs, there's some familiarity in this game right here, and I kind of want to start with the two dudes that left and became starters at Arkansas, and that's Addison Nichols and Danico Slaughter. Man, what have they meant for them? And if you've been watching, what has their play been like for them in Arkansas?
Well, I mean, Addison Nichols has stepped right in and been the starting center at Arkansas, and that was a job you wanted him to win at Tennessee, and he didn't. And I think that was just a personality situation there. I don't think he and Glenn Ellerby, that for whatever reason, it didn't work. I don't think they dislike each other or they, quote, hate each other or anything like that, but that relationship didn't work. So he has stepped in and been their center. He's done some good things. I think he's had some growing pains because this is his first year playing. He knows exactly what he's getting himself into on Saturday night because he's gone against all those dudes that he's going to go against Saturday night that are still at Tennessee, Omar Norman Lotts and the Omari Thomases and Bryson Eason and all those guys in the middle. And I'm sure Tennessee's going to try to come at him. They know his tendencies. They know some things that he struggled with when he was at Tennessee, and Tennessee's going to come at him pretty hard. Danico Slaughter is a starter at corner for Arkansas, struggled at the end of the Oklahoma State game. Had a couple of mistakes in the A&M game, but I mean, they're corners. You're going to make mistakes. And he's been, they went and got him to be a starter. And Tennessee, I don't know that they tried to keep him, but it wasn't near to the level that he wanted. And, it'll be interesting there because he does know Tennessee's offense. Does that help him understand some of the conceptual things that Tennessee's trying to do to the secondary? Is there any kind of advantage there to him knowing it? I think Tennessee will try to pick on him early, knowing his tendencies. What can they get him on, and see if they can make a play or two there. But once you get started and settle in, I'm saying this is the world of football, right? I mean, you see it in the NFL every year. Some guys playing for the team the next year that's the rival team, type deal. I mean, it's unusual still in college football, but it's quickly becoming the norm. And once you start playing, it's just their number versus your number, and go see what happens.
So, Hubbs, we've had a conversation as of late about, the progress of quarterbacks, even in the NFL. What do you allow them to do? I feel like nowadays starting quarterback's going to get you 200, 250 yards. If you can get 3 touchdowns out of them, awesome. You're not seeing a whole lot of what Kirk Cousins did last night, 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. At what point does Heupel have in the plans for Nico Iamaleava to open it up a little bit more? Because they've won big, but he hasn't been where some would expect like 500, 600 yards a game type of dude yet.
Well, I mean, I don't know that you're going to see 500 or 600 yards a game.
I'll be honest. I'd like to.
I think the school record's like 503 and 96
Ooh.
And a 35-28 loss at home to Florida in a day where Tennessee fell behind 35-0, and they literally didn't run the football the rest of the day. So I wouldn't – if you're looking for 500-yard passing days, then, man, you're going to get tired of waiting on that one because I don't think that's coming. But to your point, I think that there's certainly more there than, 220 or 230 yards a game. But to do that, you got to keep Nico upright.
Okay.
I mean, you take the let's exclude Kent State and Chattanooga, right, where he played a half. He could have thrown for 600 in those games, right? So let's go to the Power 4 opponents that he's played. They play NC State. Tennessee basically had 2 game plans going into that. One was the 2 tight end stuff. All right, we'll run 2 tight ends, and at some point NC State's going to say, we're going to stop the run. We'll get out of that, and we'll give you some man coverage and less drop 8 zone coverage. NC State made a decision, we're not going to change. We're going to stay true to who we are. We're going to drop 8 in our game plan. We're not adjusting, and if you want to run it all day, then we'll see if you're patient enough to run it all day. And Tennessee was. That's why Nico didn't put up big numbers there. Tennessee fully thought they would get out of that look, NC State would, and it would open up more shot opportunities and vertical opportunities for Tennessee. That didn't happen. I mean, it was a test of patience for Joey Halsley and Josh Heupel to keep doing what they were doing at 8, 10-yard chunks running the football because they wanted to throw it. Then you go to Oklahoma, and I think we saw the early play to Brew. You saw the touchdown to Dante Thornton. If Tennessee could have protected they could have thrown for more yards. But because they couldn't protect with the injuries at the tackle situation, Tennessee chucked it down and started running the football and just got home and got out of there, which, by the way, Auburn should have learned to do a week ago at Auburn, which they didn't. So I think part of it is dictated by what the defense is going to give you and then what you're capable of doing. That's why getting Lance Hurd back is a big deal this week. And we'll see what kind of looks they get. Are they going to get a lot of man coverage? Are they going to get zone coverage? I mean, Nico's play-action pass numbers are they're significantly better than his non-play-action pass numbers. Okay, if they can get the run game going, they can get safeties creeping forward, they can get linebackers, everybody's creeping towards the line of scrimmage and their eyes are on the run game, Tennessee can work the middle of the football field and play action with great success if they can protect. That's what they would have done against Oklahoma, but they couldn't protect well enough.
Brent, 1996, Peyton Manning, 492 yards against Florida. You were right. But Tyler Bray against Troy in 2012 had 530.
That doesn't count.
Exactly.
I like Tyler Bray. It's not because of Tyler, but that doesn't count.
So, 1997 at Kentucky, he had 523, a Peyton Manning-Tim Couch duel.
That one. Yeah, good that was the day that Tennessee tried to win him the Heisman, and but some people and some other television networks decided that some dual threat guy in Michigan needed to win the Heisman.
We're not hurt. We're not hurt at all.
No. Nobody remembers that moment. No, none of that. That was a 12:30 JP game that did not get a lot of TV exposure for Peyton Manning when he threw for a bunch of yards.
Unbelievable.
What a time.
Brent Hubbs joined us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Check him out at VolQuest. James Pierce this season, 3 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 0.5 sacks, Brent. At what point do we maybe see him be the guy that we thought he would be, or is this just the product of the type of guys they have on the line with him and the depth?
Well, I think it's a little bit. I mean, he played a bunch of snaps against Oklahoma. I think it's a little bit of what teams are doing to him, and I think he's playing hard. He's doing some effective things. He's been close. He just has overrun a couple, sacks a couple of times, and he's just missed a couple of opportunities there. I think he's probably pressing a little bit. And I think it's one of those things that's a little bit like a turnover, Kayla. I mean, when you get one, sometimes they come in bunches.
Yep.
If you look at James's history as a sack guy, he's got a lot of games where he's got 2 sacks, sack and a half. I mean, he's kind of a multiple guy. Like when he gets going, he gets a little run on him, and everybody just kind of waiting on that run. Like, man, boy, if he could get one early, it might turn into a multiple sack day, because that's just kind of what his nature has been since he's been at Tennessee. So I think he's close. I think he's doing good things. I think he's probably pressing a little bit, right? I mean, it's the, hey, you're going to be this, first round pick or top 10 pick. Now some people are saying he's dropping in the draft, and some of that stuff is riding on you. I mean, it gets to you mentally. So maybe the open date was good for him to catch his breath a little bit, refine his toolbox, hone in on a couple of things. We'll see if he can get going Saturday night. Now, it's going to be hard to get going Saturday night against Taylon Green, because that guy runs around everywhere. I mean, he loves to play backyard football. So you're going to really have to be disciplined in rush lanes, and you can't guess. And I think James has to be careful not to guess or freelance. He's got to play within the confines of what he's asked to do schematically and let them come to him. More than he has, in the past. I think the other thing, too, with James is Tennessee's getting good push in the middle. They're not getting a ton of free runs in the middle to really move the quarterback into James. And you go back and look last year, Tyler Barron had a nice year for Tennessee. There were several sacks James got because Tyler Barron got the quarterback really moving hard to James's side. And James capitalized on some of that. I'm not saying all of them were that way, but there were a couple of times he picked up 3 sacks because of inside pressure, forcing the quarterback kind of into James's lap a little bit. Tennessee's got to get a little. I mean, they're getting really good push against the run. They're playing the run well. I'd like to see them get a little bit more inside push in the pass rushing game. I mean, we saw Omar Norman-Lott do that at NC State. Would like to see that a little more consistently.
Brent, when it comes to finding fits in the transfer portal, it seems that Josh Heupel and his staff are doing that better than anyone at this point. And, we talk about Jermod McCoy and coming from Oregon State and really fitting in nicely here. You can list some other guys, obviously, but what's maybe the difference with what Heupel and his staff are doing with looking at transfers and how they fit opposed to some others that we've seen the fit's not been so great?
That's a great question, and I don't know that I've got a great answer to it other than I think they have gone out and found some guys who really love football that were in the portal for more of the right reasons, not just the financial reasons. I think Tennessee's done a good job in their recruiting office with all their scouting people of gathering as much information on guys as you can, not just looking at their film, but what kind of guys are these guys and would they be a fit here and that type of thing. And then I think the other thing, too, is I think because Tennessee is not a transient program, and what I mean by that is they have a good number of transfers, but they're not as transfer heavy as some other places. Because you have some stability, I think the culture in your program is strong. And so when guys come in, they have to adapt to your culture. They can't bring any of their culture. It's not it's not like you got 15 guys doing it their way. If you're one of the 5 or 6, 7 transfers that come in and you come into the offensive line room, you're going to do it the way Cooper Mays and Javonte Spraggins and those guys do it. Okay, if you come into the receiver room, you're going to do it the way it's been done the last 3 years with Brew McCoy and those guys there. So I think the strength of the program and its culture and the strength of its culture makes it to where if you come in, you've got to adapt to it. It's this way or it doesn't work. And I think that's helped some of that transition for some of those guys as well. Tennessee has done as good of a job, really in all the major sports when you look at it. Baseball, basketball, football. They've done as good a job as anybody in the country in roster management. Keeping the right guys, letting guys go, that it's okay, it's not the end of the world if they leave, and bringing in better guys. Their roster management has been elite compared to a lot of other people around the country. And as a result, Tennessee's as successful right now in athletics as we've seen them be in a long time.
Great stuff as always from VolQuest's Brent Hubbs joining us Friday mornings here on the show. Tennessee and Arkansas, of course, tomorrow night here at the Zone, courtesy of the Vol Network. Brent, thank you as always, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Have a great weekend.
Hubbs.
All right. Yo.
By the way, next Friday by this time, our good friend from West Tennessee, Glorilla, will be releasing a new album.
My goodness.
I'll keep you updated on the hot tracks on that one.
So, all right. So what you're telling me is I probably won't get to talk to you next Friday because you'll be in great anticipation for this and you'll need the day.
Yes, so I can brief you on what tracks to listen to. Yes, I got you, Hubbs. Just know that.
Hey, listen, all I know is this morning the walk-up music for me was spot on this morning. So well done. Whoever dropped the Toby Keith on me this morning, well done. I like that one. That was a great tune.
I did think of you, by the way, too, with College Game Day going to Cal and your very public criticism of Robert Walsh's pick of best college football traditions being at Cal.
All I want to know is, what do we think Nick Saban thinks of Robert Walsh's traditions as he flies to Cal? At what point does he look around going, what in the world are we doing this show out here for?
Just long as Miss Terry can go shopping, that's all.
Hey, here's the other thing, too. When they bring out onto the set, in the South, they bring out all the big ribs and the barbecue and the tomahawk steaks. What is he going to look like when they set that tofu sandwich down in front of him?
That sushi roll.
Sushi's okay, but not tofu.
I mean, literally, when I went through the media line, and listen, I'm not complaining. I am, but I'm not complaining. when I went through the line, and they said, "Do you want the organic wrap or the tofu sandwich?"
Oh no. Uh-oh.
I mean that was the pregame meal, man.
Take me home.
There wasn't a carb to be found.
You need some
real protein in sight. That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's good stuff.
Amazing. Thank you, Brent. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Hubbs.
Have a great one. See you guys.
Thanks, Brent.
Brent Hubbs.
He wasn't gaining weight on that trip.
No, he wasn't.
No way.
It's my favorite segment of the week with respect to all of our guests that we have that are excellent. It's just always so good.
Well, Slay going to have to bring him back.
Slay, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, Slay on a Friday.
Hub said he set the bar, Savage.
That's right. I love it. Coming up, Vols fans, how much is your BVS flaring up this morning? I feel like this is an interesting discussion. I have a lot of conversations, guys, with Tennessee fans this week, and a lot of them look like they've seen a ghost. You've come to the right place to have a prescription for your BVS. We'd love to hear from you. 615-737-1045 as we wrap up hour 2 next. Go where the pros go. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. That's where I would go if I want my lawn to look the best in the neighborhood. That's where you should go as well. Will Bowling here with Trey Hartsook. And Trey, you guys have the best machines out there. If you're looking to upgrade the mower, you guys have got a lot of great options.
Hey, Will, that's exactly right. And we're fully aware of how competitive buying a mower is. It's a really competitive market because you can go anywhere. At Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, what our best attribute is that anything that we sell here, we work on here. We're not going to give you a runaround if something happens. We can do the warranty work in-house, so there's nothing wrong with that. If you are having an issue, we'd love to see your machine. Just come in and talk to us. We can give you the best advice on a lot of different brands, whether it's Toro, Ferret, Snapper, Walker, Right Stander, Spartan. We can get you taken care of. We'd love to talk to you about it. Stop in and see us convenient located all over Middle Tennessee. Got locations in Nashville, Hendersonville, Murfreesboro, Bellevue, Brentwood, Lumber, Mount Juliet, and Franklin. Opening up at 7 a.m., closing at 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 to 12 on Saturdays. As always, if you can't get a hold of us, check us on the line, DickensSupply.com.
RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will wraps up hour 2 on 104.5 The Zone. Give you a little college football weekend preview. The biggest games of the weekend coming up in just a few minutes. Ramon, scale of 1 to 10. How much is your BVS flared up?
1.
Ooh.
I'll be honest.
That's the right answer.
1. Yeah,
No?
1.
Why are you so confident?
Because this team has made a lot of different moves as far as this offseason. It's getting the offense together, getting the defense even more. And also they got a weapon as far as special teams. If the offense and the defense is in a lockstep, guess what? I trust our kickers more than any other special teams in the country as far as putting points up on the board.
Press the kicking game.
Yes.
For here where the breaks are made.
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Yeah, I trust that too. I think this team can win in multiple ways. Again, I forget who it was. I think it was Chris Lowe yesterday on 3HL. He said, that's the reason I asked about the passing. He said he do think Nico's going to be able to pass the ball this week. Like, he's been bottled up in a sense. And maybe I'm stretching it with 400, 500 yards. But I do kind of want to see him spin it down the field because they got some deficiencies in that Arkansas defense. And here's what I will also say. I'm going to talk my stuff real quick. I just simply do believe this team is better. There were times where in years past, Tennessee versus Arkansas, it's a toss-up. No, Tennessee is just better, and I have to believe that. And people who are Vols fans have to believe that too. There's no reason to be scared of what your team is capable of when you know they've recruited. Mm-hmm. They've coached well. You got a second-year offensive coordinator that's more confident in his play calling, so much so that he and Hypo don't have to, hey, we're pressed to throw the ball. And in the SEC, where the Vols have lacked so much so far for so long, as far as the bigs, they can walk in the same room as Georgia, as Alabama, as Texas, and our bigs look like their bigs. That hasn't been the case for years to come here in Knoxville, in the years past, I mean. So that's why I'm more confident in it. I think our team is just simply better than Arkansas. And when you good, like Alabama has been for years, they were just better than Tennessee. Tennessee, say that about other. We're just better than you. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at.
And I think on any given day, even when it's always tough to go on the road in the SEC, when you have a team that has a defense like they do, and again, Gabe Judy-Lawley told me, 2 weeks ago in the locker room, he felt the defense was good last year. And look at it this year. I mean, it's even better, and the depth is there, and the cornerbacks and the secondary, we've just mentioned Jermod McCoy, that's upgraded as well. Mm-hmm. So I feel like when you go on the road and you have that type of defense specifically, and then your offense can get it done in several different ways. Like you said, we haven't seen Nico Iamaleava unloaded yet, but there's so many ways this offense can work with their running backs. And they do have so many receivers that they can switch up from here and there. They didn't even get Squirrel White involved yet, right? We've seen Brew McCoy and some of those guys. But I think that's just what makes me feel better about a road trip like this, where it could, in the past, have gotten dicey at times. But when you have solid play on both sides of the ball, I think that's where it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. This is a more mature team and obviously a well-coached team.
It is. And I'll be honest, my VVS meter is about a 4. I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud that it's flared up a little bit. This is why we have prescriptions to take care of things that pop up from time to time. You are in control of your emotions to an extent as a college football fan, but there is just a little bit in the back of my head that thinks, if they're going to follow the script of the last 2 years of weird road losses, this would be the one. I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud to have that feeling in my head. I'm going to own it. I'm going to raise my hand and say I should be better as a Tennessee fan and as someone with a Pantone 151C diploma. But I do think that teams with bad offensive lines are not going to be able to beat Tennessee this year. I just think that is going to be a prerequisite of kind of like when you graduate up to the 200 level classes, like, okay, have you passed having a good offensive line? No, then you can't take the next level course. No. You can't take the course on beating Tennessee unless you can actually protect your quarterback when you need to. And I don't think Arkansas can well enough. It's like I've said all week. They're going to have to do something that hasn't happened before this season to win this game, Arkansas and Tennessee. And I just I'm not overly worried, but 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. Kyle in Brentwood, 615-737-1045. What's up, Kyle?
Yeah, hey, guys. I was just going through listening to you guys talk about battered Vols syndrome, and I couldn't help but notice yesterday we came out as 20-point favorites against Florida. And I went back. We are 6-22 since 1996 against Florida. And of those 6 wins, only 2 of them have been by double digits. So when you talk about where we're at, I'm a huge Vols fan. I watch every game. I'm still not there yet. I've just seen too much.
You're not wrong.
What do you need to see to get you there then, Kyle? What would make you confident enough to think that, all right, I'm walking into Florida talking trash, we're winning by 3 touchdowns?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Nico in the passing game get going a little bit more. And I get, having Hurd out last week and Campbell coming in and out, definitely, or not last week, but against Oklahoma, definitely was expecting to really pour it on. I was at that Oklahoma game, and it just felt like we were right there at any moment. You could just blow them away, and then it ended up only winning by 10. Would really like to see us put Arkansas away, but again, on the road at night, still feel a little shaken.
Are you saying about basketball and baseball too? Even more so baseball?
No, okay. I feel really confident on baseball.
Okay.
Thank you, Kyle. It's good perspective. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut him off there at the end.
Yeah, that was quick.
I'm going to keep moving. But yeah, no, I think that's a fair way to look at it. But I would say don't fear.
Yeah.
Florida stinks. This Florida team stinks.
Yeah.
They're limping in.
They are where we were.
Mm-hmm.
They are where we were, seriously.
Only takes 1 year to change the whole narrative.
It does.
And this could be the one. Coming up, we're going to preview the college football weekend. What is the most interesting game in college football to you this upcoming Saturday? We'll give you our thoughts on that next.
What's going on, guys? Sometimes good people go through hard times and they need help getting back on their feet, or in this case, a roof back over their heads. That's why North Point Roofing Systems is here to give you a little bit of peace of mind.
And here's the thing, too. If you've ever priced out a roof, you know what an incredible opportunity this is, because if you visit 1045 The Zone and register and tell us why you're the most deserving homeowner or maybe someone else, North Point Roofing Systems truck will be pulling up to in front of your house again. As Bert said, good people go through hard times, and you know what? Good people can't control weather and the bad things that may happen to their house, specifically the roof. That is a headache for almost anybody. So head over to 1045thezone.com right now to register for a free roof for you or someone else you know.
Go get your roof. What's going on? 8:01. Good morning. Happy Friday. From the 104.5 The Zone Studios, I am Robert Walsh. Kirk Cousins was on fire last night. The $180 million quarterback threw for a career-high and Atlanta franchise record 509 yards with 4 touchdowns. The last of those, a 45-yard scoring drive, capped off with Kaderl Hodge, if I could talk today, in overtime that gave the Atlanta Falcons an improbable 36-30 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Injury updates from around the league. Browns running back Nick Chubb said Thursday his surgically repaired left knee was feeling good after his first practice in more than a year, but he's unsure when he will be able to make his season debut. Looks like it will not be in Week 5. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid told reporters that they want to wait for the swelling in Rashee Rice's knee to subside before the receiver goes additional testing next week. And in Indianapolis, the running back Jonathan Taylor says he's dealing with an ankle sprain and isn't likely to practice for the rest of the week. Not considered serious, but there is uncertainty about his availability for Sunday in Jacksonville. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show on a Friday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Robert Walsh is our producer. 615-737-1045. Vols fans, we ask to hear from you this morning on where your BVS is. How much is it flaring up? Scale of 1 to 10. That's battered Vols syndrome for those who are unfamiliar. We want to learn and listen and understand. That way we can prescribe to you reasoning to not feel the way that you are. As we continue to preview Tennessee and Arkansas, we're going to bring in the doctor of BVS cures. He's cured mine. The more time I spend around Laurent Slay, the less my BVS flares up in situations like this. He's going to join us at 9:20 this morning. We always look forward to our conversations with 3HL Zone. Ron Slay coming up later in the show.
Yes, 100%. Right. I'm proud of you, too, because it sounds like you called him Lil Ron Slay. That's what I call him. He's
Lil
on my
Ron?
phone.
Lil Ron.
Lil Ron.
Oh,
yeah,
is
that's what he is.
Even though he's
phone.
your older brother.
Yeah, even though
I feel like that's a brotherly nickname that you've earned. I don't know if I've earned the right to call him Lil Ron.
Lil Ron. That's family name because he's just second Ron. Yeah, he just Slay to y'all. Savage, Slammer.
Yeah.
He's had so many nicknames.
The guy I loved watching play basketball when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
The guy will come on in hour 4 this morning. Let's go to Ginger in Franklin, who is up next. What's up, Ginger?
Hey, go Vols!
Go Vols! Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Okay, so my BVS is, I hope y'all don't get mad at me, but sort of like a 7.
A 7?
Why is it at a 7?
I want to tell you why. It's kind of PTSD. I went to a away game at Arkansas. I think it was 2006 or 7. This is really more about the fans. First of all, they totally destroyed us. The score, I don't remember, but it was awful. So I'm sitting in a sea of red and having to listen to that awful pig suey call. That is the most horrible sound in the world. And so I'm waving my orange shaker and I'm wearing my orange and cheering whenever we do something good. There were 2 young guys behind us from Arkansas, and one of them apparently had a big wad of chewing tobacco in his mouth. And we had set our Coke down, and they spit their whole wad of chewing tobacco into our drink.
Oh,
gosh.
That is awful.
No.
So ever since then, I have hated Arkansas fans.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
that's
my
good
BVS
reasoning.
is a little high.
So, Ginger, here's how I'll talk you off the ledge a little bit. So that was 31-14. We won't talk about who was playing tackle for Tennessee that day, who might be sitting in the room. But Arkansas was ranked 11th in the country, and they had Darren McFadden on that team who ran for 181 yards. Darren McFadden is not walking through that door tomorrow in Fayetteville.
Nope.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
This is what I'm here for, Ginger. This is what I'm here for.
Take the 7 down to a 4.
That's like a PTSD experience,
Yeah, no,
not
I
even like
appreciate the call.
Like, and I get that. What in the world?
spit tin.
A spit tin. Yeah.
Yes.
That would give me PTSD in terms of a fan base. That's for sure.
When I was a kid, man, everybody in my family dipped, man. My granny dipped, everybody dipped. And my little brother, he was bad as hell, right? So he would always, if somebody had a beer down or something, he'd always run up and try to grab it. He's like, oh, I'm going to drink some of this before somebody snatches a knot in my hind end. So he would run up and do that all the time. Well, my cousin was dating this dude named Big Nasty, and Big Nasty had this beer sitting on the side table, and here comes my brother thinking he's going to be slick. Runs up, grabs it, and turns that bad boy up, and it was full of dip spit. And he threw up everywhere, all over the living room, ruined Thanksgiving. I'll never forgive Big Nasty.
Oh, and
Big Nasty or your
in
brother?
this situation, it's like that new TikTok song, When I Dip, You Dip, We Dip. That song that just came out.
That's not new.
I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
Keisha about to text me
I wanted to
right
see y'all's.
now.
I wanted to see y'all's reaction.
Come on, man.
I'm kidding. No,
That's
I
a
know.
TikTok thing now?
Yeah, well, Ryan Williams did it after he scored the game winner against Georgia, and it was like,
Yeah, was he 17?
yeah, no, it was the 17-year-old.
It was the 17-year-old.
It was the guy between ages 16 and 18. No, I was just, it's funny how things come back around.
Yes.
And it's like all the kids that try to do it on TikTok like aren't even really doing it the right way.
Right.
It's pretty funny. But anyway, I wanted to see how much y'all hated me. If I was like, oh yeah, that new TikTok.
And we like immediately like, wait, new?
Yeah, no.
That might actually make me get a TicTok right there. Is seeing that
It is
trend.
every morning now I get ready and what do I have just going? My TikTok.
The TikTok?
Just video after
I
video.
feel like a dinosaur without one right now. Hey, shout out to Big Nasty though, man.
Sounds like a good guy.
Nah, it gets worse than that, man. Sometimes we'd have this fella Kurt who'd borrow my grandpa's shop to fix his truck. Sometimes he was so lazy he had just had a big bowl he would spit in. It was like a bowl lined with paper towels, and he would do it from across the room. So it'd be like. Ding! Yeah, exactly. This big bowl, man. Everybody's nasty as hell over there.
I just can't believe your grandma dipped. That's the best part.
I hate that for Ginger though, man. That's tough. You
I hope
deserve
she didn't drink it.
Yeah, you deserve to pour that on them. If that like that's a $12 drink right there. You deserve to get that back to them. Like you own this drink now.
It's hearing Woo Pig Sooie in person. It does feel a little bit like pig worship.
Well, yeah,
it doesn't feel like calling a hog. It feels like you're praising the hog.
Right.
It's awful.
But
it's awful.
They're in unison with it, though. It does.
I respect it.
I respect it.
It's what makes the SEC just mean more.
By the way, I do want to ask Slay when he's in here this weekend if he's reached out to Traylon Burks this week.
Why is that? Oh, yeah.
What about him?
Well, Traylon Burks is an Arkansas alum. I would have loved to just. He should have popped on the show. They should have talked a little hogs and balls.
I mean, we already told Jeff that Mississippi State is a homecoming game for the Vols. So, I mean, we're good. We checked all them boxes.
But Slay is his number 1 fan.
Now, I thought he was putting them on the waiver wire.
I did not hear that.
No, he's still with them.
Okay.
We'll find out in a little over an hour.
Yeah.
Most annoying base, though, if y'all ever gone. Like, as a player.
Most annoying fan base?
As far as sounds.
Sounds?
The cowbell.
Yeah, I was at that game. You played there down too.
Okay.
Yeah,
as a kid, yeah.
I was captain that game too.
Were you?
Yeah, because I played my my high school teammate Blake McAdams. Shout out to Blake. Was also there on the squad too.
Cool.
We both met up on that one. Yeah,
We do not care.
Oh my gosh.
What is wrong with you?
I swear.
I do not care.
I swear. And all he's doing is folding his freaking arms and laughing.
Using your own coach against you. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. You got anything to say for yourself today?
Nope.
See, this is what happens. I see Bert this morning, right? Okay, we go out on the balcony. What we do is Bert time, so we roll with Bert out there. And I look at him, I was like, who the hell you think you are? Okay, he's got this fresh like fade going on right now.
Oh, I didn't see that.
That's my West Tennessee coming out right there.
Yeah, okay.
He's trying to talk about Ripley, and you said he went into
haircut. Look at him, man.
Did
He
you
all
get a
trimmed
new
up.
barber there?
Man, this fool back here, I can't believe he's acting.
And now he
out
goes
loud.
silent.
He does go silent. I hope Big Nasty come back and smack him,
Don't
man.
do that. I hated Big Nasty.
With a name like Big Nasty, you got to be good. Most interesting game of the college football weekend, guys, is what?
I got one for you. This UCF in Florida. UCF is favored
a little bit off the beaten path,
at
but I like
night
it.
in Gainesville. UCF, think about what we just said here. UCF is favored at night in Gainesville by 2.5. That is insane. I don't know when the trustees or the boosters have met about him.
Yeah.
But if he loses this one, this is like Wyoming the former, the way I look at this. And I respect UCF, but like this is like Wyoming the former to me.
I've got I know there's not a lot of top 25 matches, so I'm going outside of 2 top 25 teams, at least one. I got Georgia and Auburn, the Deep South's oldest rivalry. This is the 129th edition of it, by the way. Auburn still with no SEC win. I'm just curious just to see how Auburn comes off of that loss to Oklahoma on the road, what Georgia does. Like, could Georgia completely pound them? I don't know. Like, I'm interested, right?
Yeah, me too.
I really am. I want to see how this all shakes out. I know Georgia will win, but I want to see the fight that Auburn puts up. I know he's whispering something really inappropriate in your ear right now.
Just this noise making.
I know exactly.
This is like when the teacher puts you in class with your friend, and they're like, "Y'all better not do nothing," and you look at each other and can't help it. What'd you make that noise for?
I snorted.
When you're taking over my snorts?
Her description was she wants Georgia to do to Auburn. I was just like, all right, the dog pound it is then. All right. Auburn will be getting a dog pound.
I got a feeling Georgia might be speeding into the end zone in that game.
They won't get a ticket for
around
that
the streets of Athens.
one.
The one top 25 matchup of the weekend is Missouri, Texas A&M. I think this is a really interesting one, and Missouri is just not good at things they were great at last year. And they had the second most explosive offense in the SEC last year in terms of amount of plays over 30 yards. This season, they are 13th in the SEC. They only have 7 plays over 30 yards all season. Brady Cook, his yards per attempt has dropped by a full 2 yards from a year ago. Luther Burden's been good, but he's not been, first round pick caliber, that dude, wide receiver, the him that we thought he might be. I'm really interested to see who plays quarterback for A&M in this game because Connor Wegman is questionable, but Marcel Reed has played really well. And Marcel Reed's sister Bria is on staff with Missouri. And Eli Drinkwood said this week, if she wants to come out and watch the open portions of practice that are open in the media, she's welcome to this week. And it's been a kind of a fun little back and forth and storyline in this game. But that's an awesome family. The Reeds are great. And, Rod, the former TSU head coach, and Marcel, it's a great football family. And I really wish the best for Marcel, man.
I do too.
That's cool.
Nashville kid that has really made the most of his opportunity coming from Montgomery Bell Academy. And I think they go with Marcel.
I hope they
I think
do.
you've got to. I think he's been excellent.
And again, you can't get benched over of injury, but he's been cooking.
Yeah.
He has, man. And he's exciting to watch, too.
And this is going to be a tough game.
It is. Their favorite, A&M.
Yeah.
Yeah, home favorite. I mean, that's an atmosphere that's worth 4 or 5 points.
What about
in Aggie land?
Speaking of home atmosphere, Bama at Vandy. Where we at on that?
Well, I took the over in that.
Bama's home atmosphere is worth about 3 or 4 points in this stadium as well.
I think Vandy will try at least in the beginning to put up a fight. I think they'll.
Well, they'll try.
They'll put up some points. I think.
I don't know.
I do.
The worst on a Friday.
I'm not. Look,
you hear him talking about some
I'm gonna give Vandy a little credit.
I'm trying to, Caleb.
We've given them a ton of credit this year, but it's Alabama. Like I don't know what you want me to say.
Alabama will win this game, absolutely. But I think Vandy won't be held to 10 points, is what I'm saying.
We'll see.
You ain't been wrong as of late. I want to challenge you, but you hit on the
this
jinx.
Man.
No, you hit on the jinx, and I'm off. I'm off. I'm not. He got nothing to challenge other than Bama having a home game in
hit on that jinx, man. I would be eating it all week.
I'm proud of you. Okay.
Coming up, we're gonna switch gears a bit. There is speculation out there about DeAndre Hopkins and trade options. Trade deadline is a month and a day away. What do you need to see from the Titans in order to hold on to your dudes or maybe sell some dudes in the trade market, be buyers or sellers at that point of the process? Trade deadline November 5th. We're going to talk about that from the Titans' perspective coming up next. RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will in hour number 3 this morning on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Robert Walsh is our producer. A little bit of Nashville news. Nashville getting a direct flight to Dublin starting April 2025. How about that? Per News 2's Peyton Kennedy, who is reporting this morning.
By who?
I think we know her. They also have a direct flight now to Cabo starting in March.
And Reykjavik, Iceland, getting one as well.
And Iceland as well.
Instead of a News 2, we got to start calling them News Boo.
News
Boo. There we go.
He's shaking his head in silence over here.
Hey, you're not wrong.
Spot the lie.
Incoming text from Peyton in 3.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Does she drive around with the news car with us on the radio station?
Just
Absolutely.
like Keith better have it on right now. You hear me?
Incoming text in 3.
Like a threat.
Yeah, it is. Okay, let me break it down before we go further.
She heard you yesterday when you were hating on being a pickleball duo partner with her.
And she heard me this morning saying I'd love to go with, what's his name, Antonio Pierce to the extravaganzas this morning. Yes, absolutely, okay?
Extravaganzas.
Yes. But here's the other thing. So, RJ, my oldest, shout out to Two Rivers 4, help us get a Ford Bronco over here for his birthday. Big time stuff right there. It was cool. He don't like me saying that, but he at school right now. He got no say-so on what I do. Immediately after we got to the house, guess what happened? Hey, give me your radio real quick. Boop. Save that 104.5 The Zone, okay? Because that's what helped facilitate this thing, okay?
Exactly.
Yes.
You must listen to us on your drive-in, son.
It was my number one preset in my first ever car. I had a 03 Jeep Liberty.
Yeah,
you could smell smoke when I drove up hills, but 104.5 was the top preset on it.
That's all that mattered.
Smoke them in the
I would drive up a hill and you could start to smell smoke,
right?
Because the engine was not engineing.
You know what's the best? If you take an Uber, I had to go catch a flight one morning, and I took an Uber, and it was so awkward. I was out here in front of the station, and I get in the Uber, and what's playing? You guys, because I had to leave early that day.
Like a real one?
And
real one?
Yeah, I was like, this is a good station.
Yeah. I still get a request from one of my Ubers. Drunkenly, he took me home, and I was like, hey, man, you ever need tickets, just let me know, man.
I hope you were the one drunkenly, not him.
Yeah.
You said that. Drunkenly, he took me home.
He was sober, but he, anytime there's a game coming up, he's like, y'all got any of those Titans tickets?
Call in. Bert,
Call
that man's hopes up.
I love it. All right, so 32-year-old wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is in a contract year with the Tennessee Titans. Mary Kay Cabot at Cleveland.com recently named DeAndre Hopkins as a potential option for the Cleveland Browns. We'll get Ramon's full thoughts on Cleveland again here shortly, I'm sure. Then there's ESPN's Dan Graziano, who links Hopkins to the Steelers. You're going to always have the Kansas City Chiefs at every trade deadline be linked to wide receivers, especially with Rashee Rice's injury. 10 catches for 121, 1 touchdown for Hopkins this season, who has not been as much the go-to guy as he was last year. So the NFL trade deadline is November 5th. And you talk about buying or selling at the deadline. It feels like, guys, this is becoming more of a conversation in the NFL. This has always been a baseball, a basketball idea. Hey, are you a buyer or a seller at the deadline? The Titans have 4 more games until the NFL trade deadline. Home against the Colts, in Buffalo against the Bills, in Detroit against the Lions, and at home against the New England Patriots. What will it take, if anything, for you to be willing to trade DeAndre Hopkins, and what's the price?
What will it take? Belief in others at this point. And what I mean by that is if it's anybody other than Will Levis, because that's the fine line I feel like we're riding right now. That's the blade that we're on right now. If you subtract D-Hop, do you really facilitate a scenario where Will Levis can be successful? If we're trying to figure out what he's going to be. The other side of this thing is, okay, what's the outlook on the rest of the season? Are you competitive enough for a guy that's in an expiring contract to just let that expire and you get nothing from it? If a team is starving for a guy, a third round pick, this later in the season, what you got to assume, it might be a 5th or something. But I'm willing to get something now for next year if we're really trying to build this thing up. They do need more picks. I know they like to have a lot of picks. If we look at Chad Brinken, what Green Bay's done, if Rams they like to incorporate a lot of picks. I just don't know what blade we're riding right now.
And for a second straight year, they don't have a third-round pick because of the L'Jarius Sneed trade.
And that's such a big pick. I still stand on, I in some ways, understand what happened last year. Now it makes a little bit of sense, but at the same time, I would have liked to have seen a third pick at some point. I think they try to get something like that this year if they can. But here's what's confusing about it, because if you want to roll with Will Levis and figure out every single thing about this quarterback this year, then why do you take away one of his weapons at that point? And if you don't think it's going to be a decision even mid-season yet, then why take away one of his weapons at that point? I'm just saying that's what they've kind of said. We need to see what he is. Now, maybe it is we see what he is after the next 5 games and we kind of come to a decision and we're okay with trading away DeAndre at that point because we know who Will Levis is. And if they want to, though, fully give him the season, I don't think you can take away one of his better weapons. And I know they haven't connected a ton this year, but when they did, you felt like, okay, this is a natural connection between those two. I also worry because him and Ridley haven't quite gotten on that same page consistently yet. And so I hate to just put it all on Ridley this year, but maybe they find that in the next 4 games and you feel more comfortable. I just don't know if they're going to do that when they sat and got all these weapons to add to this offense, and then you take away one of the most important ones for Will.
Yeah, honestly, I can't sit here and say that you have to put Will Levis out there for the whole season in order to learn what you have, and then also have the opinion that you can trade away his biggest asset. Like, I have the first opinion, so I can't have the second opinion in my eyes, right? Like, DeAndre Hopkins is critical to Will Levis's success, and if the goal of the season is learning what you have in him, then you would need to have DeAndre Hopkins for the whole season as well. And I believe that is the case. That is my opinion. But I will play devil's advocate for the sake of conversation.
Please do.
If a quarterback has to have one wide receiver in order to make them successful, is that really a franchise quarterback?
Come on now. Come on. Like because I've always been of the mindset the quarterback can make another one.
And that's the point, right?
Yep.
So how do you, as Rand Carthon, as Chad Brinker, as the Titans organization, judge, all right, we could keep Hopkins and keep Levis in a comfortable situation, or we could kind of challenge him and learn even more while also maybe getting what? A 4th-round pick back? A 5th-round pick?
Yeah.
Because I think there's arguments to be made on both sides.
Yeah, and they've wheeled and dealed. Look, I'll give Rand all the credit in the world. He has found ways to make really good deals. I wouldn't even be surprised if there's a team desperate at a point that loses a couple of their guys that needs a DeAndre Hopkins kind of vet. I mean, I could even see maybe a 3rd rounder.
That would surprise me that late in the season.
It could, but
because you're getting a rental.
I'd even take a 4th though. But it's a point
love a 4th.
that makes sense. I mean, you could challenge Will at that point and say, "Hey, get it done with what you have." And then you can build on your draft classes, because when it's all said and done, you guys, what matters the most for this team moving forward is that they're building, homegrown guys. And that's where they're going to find success long-term, is by hitting in the draft. And the more draft picks you have, the better chance you have to hit.
What sucks, though, about trading D-Hop away, it'd make more sense if you had this, which has been lacking. If you had a guy behind him that was ready to be developed and being thrown into it. You don't have a young wide receiver that, like, Jaquan Jackson is a what? Specialist? Right now,
he's a punt
people
returner.
Want to see him more incorporated, though. I'll tell you that.
I'm with you on it, but
those are different styles of wide receivers.
Absolutely. It's not the same type of
and if you say you remove D-Hop to get more Traylon, does that sell to you? You move D-Hop to get more NWI. I love that one. To get more NWI, he's just steady Eddie for me. Like, he's always
there. He hasn't been there a lot.
So it's the depth of what is behind D-Hop is the biggest issue with trading D-Hop, though. But I love, if you can get a 4.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't working out here, et cetera, I'll take a 4.
I'm not opposed to it, honestly.
What if the proposed deal was you give DeAndre and your 4th for a 3rd? Would you be willing to do that to get a 3rd? The only downside to that is your 4th is probably going to be a high 4, and if you trade it to a contender, that would be a late 3. So you'd be moving up marginally, but it would replace the 3rd that you lost.
D-Hop and one of those 7s they got.
Because you're correct, they have 3 7s right now.
And I think if you're going to get a 3, you're going to have to give something else up in addition to Hopkins.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Because it would be their 4.
If Davante Adams right now Davante Adams is being discussed for a 3 right now.
Sure, and he's legit.
Davante Adams, in my opinion, has more to offer than DeAndre Hopkins at this point of their respective careers.
Yeah.
It'd have to be D-Hop in a 7. I can't give up that 4. I need more front end on this one.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think there is a difficult decision to be made here because you don't have a lot more time to think about this. Like, you got 4 games. So what record would you have to have in those 4 games in order to decide, all right, hey, we want to sit where we are and really compete?
I think even just having just 1 win could be not great because they've got the Colts.
Meaning you trade guys?
Yeah, because they've got the Colts, which I really do think that's winnable, guys. It's here. The Colts are in same kind of weird situation as the Titans are with quarterbacks, and their backup is a little bit more successful in Joe Flacco and what he's been able to do recently. But we would probably see Anthony Richardson if he doesn't get hurt again this weekend. But I think that's winnable. Then you've got the Bills and Detroit Lions. I don't, at this point, think they're better teams than either of them. Right. But then you've got the Pats here. And I think the Patriots, while don't underestimate them in Mayo, I do think that's a winnable game. So
they got to have a decision as far as the trade goes.
Yeah, so I say if they only get the 3 games,
and you got Colts, Bills, Lions.
If they go 0-3, trade.
Trade. I side with Kayla on if it's there for you.
If it's that bad.
Yeah. If it's that bad.
And I think the reason why this is an interesting discussion is because the Titans have drafted so well the last 2 years. Look at the late round guys they have. Like, you would take another Jarvis Brownlee.
Yeah, you would.
Mm-hmm.
You'd take another Tajay Spears.
Oh, yes.
Take another Josh Wiley. I mean, that's the reason why. If the Titans weren't good at drafting, I would say, no, keep him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it. You're not going to make anything of it anyway. But I think this organization has got a pretty good strategy and is showing their track record is pretty good when it comes to evaluating talent and picking it.
So when Hubs was on, Kayla asked a question about transfers and culture and stuff. Mm-hmm. Hubs answered what we've been talking about this previous week, right? Where the culture inside of the building, the rules of operating, basically, can stay the same when it's your guys mostly.
When you draft them too from day one.
When you draft
them,
exactly.
You're picking them from the start, right?
Yeah.
And as much as this is probably it's going to suck to go through, like. I think we're probably like maybe 2, if not 3, away from reestablishing the rules of operating inside of that building.
Because you missed on so many first rounders.
And you got to hit your dudes, right? So that whoever walked inside of our locker room when I played, get in line.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it was. Like, we're going to have fun. You're going to do your thing.
But
you can be yourself.
They understood what they were walking into.
They watched the ones who had been there work and understand because it was all passed down. And that's what you're looking for, which is why if you can get something for D-Hop when you ain't got him next year, get more picks so you can establish that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Jonathan on YouTube says, what about evaluating Levis? That was a hit, right? With a laughing emoji.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. Also, yeah. And what about Trey Lance? And what about Zach Wilson? What about Mac Jones?
The quarterback is a whole different beast.
A lot. I'm with you on that one.
At least it wasn't a first-round pick.
You can take your shot, but what's your point? Like, if you're a fan of this team, you're laughing at your team be bad at doing something. So is that too, right? So, Jonathan, I'm with you, but I feel you.
It looks like a miss, but at the same time, even the best organizations, no one has a 100% hit rate in evaluating and picking prospects. It's just unfortunate that one of their misses might have been at the most important position.
And look, I kind of understand sometimes you have to throw the dice at the quarterback position.
You have to almost.
You remember when Green Bay did it when Aaron Rodgers was still there and everybody questioned, why would you take Jordan Love bottom of the first round? But they took him.
They did.
And then now you see kind of the fruits of the labor. Now, that doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes you do have to roll the dice if you feel like that could possibly be your dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. What was the quarterback drafted after Levis for more context? I'll look that up in a second right here.
Yeah,
just to be like, well, if you didn't get him, you was going to get, we got this guy out of the draft. Like, it was Levis and almost nobody else, I feel like. 2022 NFL draft.
Yeah, there was nobody, I don't think, close to him. I mean, it was kind of, the guy was next is Hendon Hooker.
Right, and he was supposed to go. Remember, he was at the draft. He was supposed to.
Here we go with
Hendon
this one,
wasn't
though.
at the draft.
Hendon's not playing, so what can we say as Hendon is as an NFL quarterback? I understand what he can do in college, what he did in college. But he's Mason Rudolph at this point.
And I see a lot of that from Tennessee fans on spiking the football and, well, you could have drafted Hooker. I love Hendon Hooker, but I don't think you can spike the football and say the Titans should have drafted Hendon Hooker instead. We don't know what Hendon Hooker is as an NFL quarterback yet.
And guess what? He's in a really actually great position for himself, I think, sitting behind Jared Goff on that type of Lions team where he could kind of get a little bit of knowledge before he eventually steps in at some point. So maybe that will pay off for him too, not coming directly in and being thrusted into play.
It was Hendon, and I'm looking for the next quarterback. There's not another
There wasn't that wasn't
Jake Hayner.
Yeah.
Fresno State Senior Bowl kid.
Where is he at, by the way? Yeah, that's right.
And then Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, who had got
LA.
in legal trouble the first year he was there?
Preseason turnover machine, Stetson Bennett. Would love to hear from you. What would it take to be willing to trade DeAndre Hopkins? Or are you going ahead and making that conversation a reality now? Are you good with it at this point? What do you need to see in order to trade D-Hop? 615-737-1045. We'll get to Eric and Luke and more of your thoughts coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster, Hiller Plumbing, Cooling, Heating, and Electrical, letting you know, look, it's spooky season, and everyone's thinking about Halloween. This month is all treats and no tricks with my friends at Hiller. During the Spooky Good Fall giveaway, guess what they're giving you guys? An opportunity to get a free Blackstone griddle, Solo stove, or Yeti Tundra coolers with select home upgrades. Or you can just simply enjoy the $99 specials like an HVAC tune-up and plenty of other things that they have. For more information, simply visit happyhiller.com for more details.
RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will wraps up Hour 3 this morning on 104.5 The Zone. The question we asked before the break, as teams circle the wagons for wide receivers at the NFL trade line in a month and a day, what would it take for you to listen to offers for DeAndre Hopkins in these last 4 games, and what would you need to get in return, or is it even on the table? Let's start with Eric in Nashville, 615-737-1045. Hey, Eric.
Hey, guys, I was going to say, apologize. I couldn't call Tuesday because my phone was down pretty much all day Tuesday. That's why I didn't call in Tuesday. And I think my phone service has been in and out Tuesday. I heard Coach Mack's phone was down.
It was.
Yeah, and I had another friend I tried to call during the week. I couldn't get in touch with him because his phone was down. So I don't know what's going on. Wow. We've had issues with phones and stuff. But as far as the DeAndre Hopkins trade, I keep hearing everybody say, well, the obvious one is him to Kansas City. One of the most hilarious comments, I don't know if Colin Cowherd made this or somebody else, I did hear a comment thought that we got fleeced in the Legere Sneed trade. So I hate to hear that terminology because people thought we got fleeced in the A.J. Brown trade. It's just trading players to other organizations, which are known for being high profile and having good owners and good GMs and all that type of stuff. But I'll say this, one of the interesting things I saw this morning was what Ryan Clark said. He said that just because you get that top-flight wide receiver, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to put you over the top for Super Bowl. And he used several examples. He was talking about the fact that Tyreek Hill, of course, went to Miami. He's put up great numbers, but Miami hasn't won a playoff game. He talked about Stephon Diggs going from Minnesota to Buffalo. He also talked about Amari Cooper, who went to Dallas, and, of course, is down with the Cleveland Browns. And you've got others over history. A.J. Brown, you certainly got the Eagles. They got to a Super Bowl, but they didn't win. And, of course, he's talked about, as you do remember in the past, like Randy Moss and Terrell Owens, who were on teams that went to Super Bowl, but they didn't win. And, you know, a lot of times it deals with the fact that, I guess, who your coach is, whether or not you can run the ball, or the weapons, the offensive line, all that stuff. And everybody's talking about Devontae Adams to get to the Jets. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to put them on the top. You know, it's all those pieces, I guess, coming together, whether or not that happens. So it's going to be interesting. By the way, I don't think Kansas City needs them. But because they've shown that they can win without a top-flight receiver. But I just think it just depends on things, all that coming together, whether or not that works out. Guys, it's always good to talk to you. Y'all take care. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Eric. Hope that phone works out better there.
He on it now. I know Coach Mack was shut down for a little while, for real.
Dang.
Eric's a real one.
Yeah. I liked his point, though. I mean, and it doesn't, getting one wide receiver doesn't mean you're winning the Super Bowl. It could give you a better chance, and it could give you more options once you get in the thick of the playoffs. But, you know, injuries always come into play. You never know what's going to happen with a team. That's where we talk about luck sometimes. I swear some teams just have that little bit of luck. Other teams don't. But, yeah, it's never guaranteed to get you to the next level.
No.
Luke is in Hendersonville, and up next, 615-737-1045. Go ahead, Luke.
Morning, Luke.
Hey, good morning. Will, you make a good point in the fact that for the past, especially this past draft, you know, they've really done well last draft too, and I think if they go, 0-3, you would definitely have to consider it. The counter to that is, y'all mentioned developing Levis, and when you think about how many different head coaches, offensive coordinators, and everything that he's been through going back through college, he's just lacked a lot of consistency in things around him, whether it's the system, the coach, the players, and Hopkins has been one of the only consistent things he's had. They've had a slow start this year, maybe, limiting some of the reps for Hopkins, trying to nurse that knee, but like you mentioned, it's imperative to see what he can do and to develop him. And I know we have Calvin Ridley, and hopefully that dynamic gets a lot more improved. But to take away Hopkins, I think would really hinder his development and just make it harder to know, can this guy get better, fix a lot of these rookie mistakes, fix these turnovers, see the field better, trust his receivers. I think it would just hamper his development. So, but it would be a tough decision if we go 0-3 the next few games and he's still turning the ball over like crazy. And the last thing is, it's been 4 games. Do y'all know if Cedric Gray is going to be coming back off IR? Hope you all have an awesome day. Love the show. You are amazing. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Luke.
Well, it helped that they have the bye week now, so there's another extra week. So we haven't heard anything directly of that. I would guess that he probably would come off because I think it was a question even, were they going to really put him on there? I think they really wanted to give him time as a rookie.
Yeah, can't
so
rush it.
I think he could possibly come off coming off of next week.
I wanted to follow up with Luke real quick. At what point do you put the cards into Will Levis's hands, though? Like, D-Hop doesn't affect his decision making.
Right, like he's not going to have D-Hop forever.
Yeah, and that ain't no criticism of what Luke said. But I get where Luke's coming because we made that point. But at what point do you put, hey, this is your plate, Will Levis, do something with it?
I agree.
Yeah, and eventually, guess what? D-Hop's not going to be here eventually. I mean, and they've got some older wide receivers here. I mean, I know Ridley's on a deal, but eventually, if he's going to be the guy, he's going to have to make others better. And that includes guys that they could draft high if they want to go with the wide out. So
let's quickly go to Cody, who is in Fairview this morning. Hey, Cody.
Hey, guys. Can y'all hear me all right?
Yeah, got you, Cody.
All right. So first off, to get D-Hop off the team, I'd take a 4th and a 6th. But my dream scenario would probably be sending Ridley and Dylan Radin to the Chiefs for Trey Smith. I mean, that would be a dream come true. It depends on how desperate they are. They get a starting right guard and a starting receiver. So
yeah, the thing with Trey is up after this one.
Yeah, he is.
Trey's deal. Unless they franchise tag him.
Thank you, Cody.
He's up, Cody.
You were saying the other day, though, Ramon, too, we were having the conversation that Radins has quietly been very good this year.
He has. I'm
when you
happy
don't talk
for
about
him.
him, it's a
very
good thing, right?
For, maybe not very good for guards in the NFL, but I don't want to pat him on the head, but he's played well based on what we expected. I think that's a fair comment.
Quietly, he's having a good year. If I was to project him, his next year is going to be really good.
Yeah, because he's only been in one spot. This is the first time he's been in one position for more than 2 games.
Yeah, if I was project him, I would bank on his 5th year being the year you okay,
He played a lot of right tackle last year, but I feel like he's now consistent at his better position.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is critical. Free agent wide receivers, guys, this offseason, by the way, talking about Hopkins and why he's going to be a hot commodity. Stephon Diggs. He ain't going anywhere.
No.
T. Higgins ain't going anywhere. Keenan Allen, they're not going to take him away. Amari Cooper, nope. Chris Godwin, nope. So that's why the Hopkins conversation is what it is because the trade market for wide receivers is also what that is as well, in that Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins are kind of the only 2 guys that are really going to be out there unless Carolina wants to put Deontay Johnson out there, but he and Andy Dalton are playing pretty well together. So, interesting discussion. Obviously, we're not trying to trade anybody away on October 4th, but I do think it is an interesting and valid conversation to have in the bye week.
Yeah.
As you kind of reset a little bit. 615-737-1045. If you want in on that topic, I'll give you a little NFL weekend preview. We've given you our most interesting games of the college football weekend coming up tomorrow. What about Sunday's NFL slate? Got that for you next. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance was established in 1926. It is the largest and most comprehensive orthopedic practice in Tennessee. What's going on? It's Will Bowling. Week 7 of the high school football season getting started. And hey, at this point of the year, everybody's playing injured, right? That's what we always say. Well, I got good news for you. If you got bumps and bruises, things you got to clean up, TOA serves as team orthopedic physicians to NFL athletes, and they got 29 locations throughout Tennessee. And they provide sports medicine coverage to more high school and college sports teams than any orthopedic group in the state of Tennessee. TOA offers direct access to sports medicine and performance, physical therapy, nutrition, you name it. They're going to take care of the athlete in your family. Personalized rehabilitation plans to enhance mobility. They're going to reduce pain, improve overall physical function for patients recovering from injuries or surgeries. TOA.com. That's the website with 29 locations throughout Tennessee. That's Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance online at TOA.com.
What's going on? 9:02. Good morning and happy Friday from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Kirk Cousins was on fire last night. The $180 million quarterback threw a career-high and Atlanta franchise record 509 yards and 4 touchdowns. The last of those, a 45-yard pass to Kaderil Hodge in overtime. They gave the Atlanta Falcons the improbable 36-30 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got some injury reports from around the league. We'll start in Cleveland, where running back Nick Chubb said Thursday his surgically repaired left knee is feeling good after his first practice in more than a year, but is unsure when he will make his season debut. Doubtful that it will be in Week 5. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid told reporters that they want to wait for the swelling in Rashee Rice's knee to subside before the wide receiver undergoes additional testing next week. And in Indianapolis, running back Jonathan Taylor says he's dealing with an ankle sprain and isn't likely to practice the rest of the week. Not considered a serious injury, but there is uncertainty around the availability for him on Sunday in Jacksonville. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Nine a.m. and into the final hour of the morning, final hour of your week. And ladies and gentlemen, we may or may not have saved the best for last. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. The show's called RKW. It's produced by Robert Walsh. And coming up in 15 minutes, we'll be joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the 3HL person you know and love. His name is Ron Slay. You love all the 3HL people, of course. We love them as well.
There he is.
The legend himself.
That voice and that laugh in person. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll talk Vols and Hogs. Talk a little bit about Will Levis. Because he was in our YouTube chat the other day saying, man, I got bumped today. Otherwise, I'd be really looking forward to having this discussion, but I got bumped.
Mr. Spears took his spot.
Tajay Spears. So we thank Slay for his flexibility and look forward to catching up with him in just a few. NFL weekend, got some good matchups. Titans are off. It is a chance to enjoy 7 hours of commercial-free football and 7 hours of stress-free football if you are a Titans fan. What are y'all watching? Most interesting game is where?
In Pittsburgh.
Of course it is.
You Steelers homer. No, yeah, you're right. It is a very interesting game with Cowboys and Steelers on Sunday Night Football.
That one or AFC North. Cincinnati, Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Those two, and I have invested interest in those because I like to see the North beat each other up, but that's the one I like watching, seeing if Lamar and Derek can do what he do against Cincinnati. Very fascinating for me this weekend. And, the Minnesota-New York also.
Okay.
That's watching Sam Darnold versus
and that's
his old
early,
team.
by the way. Make sure to set your alarm.
You're out here doing extra credit. I asked for the most interesting matchup of the weekend, and you get extra credit. No, I'm not mad about it.
I just always it's never just
he
one.
He just doesn't want to walk on that treadmill for a whole game, so he's trying to.
And then you got to think about
credit.
the Colts and Jaguars.
Well, that's what I'm going with for real.
Then also Dolphins Patriots. That's interesting. Another divisional matchup. Two down teams. Did you know Kirk Cousins last night passed for more yards than the Patriots have all season?
Dang.
And more yards than Justin Herbert had all of last season.
That's ridiculous.
Bert with their extra credit in the back there.
Yeah, Ramon's definitely the kid of the back of the class going, hey, you forgot to assign us our homework.
No, I wasn't there.
No, you were not that guy. I can't even say that with a straight face.
I was a little bit of a nerd.
What type of apple can I bring you?
You'd be like, hey, I did the homework if you need it. But don't ask for it from anyone else.
Hey, look, if I did some work, we turning this bad boy in. Unless the gang is like, Mo, I ain't got my eye. I showed up like I'm a team player, okay? But look, when it comes down to me having my work did, we turning this bad boy. If you not the homie,
everybody eats or nobody eats.
See?
That's all I'm saying.
That's all I'm saying. That's it.
I'll pick one.
Who?
I don't need extra credit.
Look, Kayla just put me out on the balcony. I'll pick one.
I'll pick one. And you know what? It's not like this is like two great teams, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. But it does in some way and can affect the Tennessee Titans because it is an AFC battle between the Colts and Jags, like Bert was joking about. But I'm serious. I am curious to what goes on in this game.
Yeah.
We've got a Jags team that is 0-4.
Yeah, I was going to insert my own word right there, Kelly. You don't
Insert
want
whatever
word.
you want.
I don't want to get
Depends on
fired.
what your level of intensity is today.
What the heck?
Yes.
We can go down there. Yeah.
So they're 0-4, you guys. The last time that they went 0-5 to start the year, honestly, not that long ago, 2021, they finished with a record of 3-14. The other two times they've started off the season 0-5, 2014 and 2013. That is way too many starts to an 0-5 season that I would ever want to see my team have. But my point being is, can they dig themselves out of that hole and finally get their first win with a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, guys, who he's having some of his worst stats comparatively to his career. I mean, worst completion rate, second worst passing rating, EPA per drop back, worst. I mean, you name it, he's not having a great start to the season. Can he kind of rally the troops and get them out? And then what are we going to see on the other side? Are we going to see Anthony Richardson even play? Does he get hurt again? Do we see Joe Flacco come in? I mean, there's a lot of gross parts to this matchup, but I want to see it. I'm here for every part of it.
I'm cheering for a
melts down
tie.
the first?
I think a tie in that game would be so funny.
I know, and I feel like it could happen.
That'll hurt them more than a loss would. I almost feel like
It's
it would
icky.
be awesome.
It's an icky matchup that I'm so intrigued about.
It's kind of how I feel about the Phillies, Mets, and LDS. I just hope both teams have no fun.
That game
Right?
last night was
You
exciting.
I'm cheering for the
one.
meteor.
Shout out to Selly, because I know he's a big old Mets fan, and watching
Dude,
Pete
I have
Alonso,
so many friends
he
that are Mets
smoked
fans.
it too well. He smoked
Yeah.
it.
Sick.
Wow.
I'm a Lindor fan, so I don't root for the Mets, but
Francisco
I do root for
Lindor.
Lindor.
I'm a fan of none of these things we're talking about.
By the way, shout out Terry Francona getting the job with the Reds 1 year after retiring.
Oh,
so.
straight up?
Yeah.
Okay, did not know that. I enjoyed that game, that baseball game last night, though. Mets and
Brewers.
Brewers had it.
Yeah.
Had it.
And then they didn't.
Threw it to the polar bear.
3-run homer in the top of the ninth. October baseball is awesome.
It's so fun.
But Phillies, Mets, I'm going to cheer for the Yumps.
That's a mean
Cheer
series.
for Cowboy Joe West.
Kayla, you brought up something a second ago on the Jags.
Wait,
You said they've
what?
started 0-4 more times than not.
I mean,
three times in the last decade.
That's disgusting.
How can you be this type of franchise with this many high picks and this much money spent?
I don't know.
I can't
They
grasp
haven't always had that much money spent.
Yeah,
I guess. I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
since
That's more of a recent development.
yeah, it is a recent development, but like they were fire hot coming in as a franchise, and the expansion happened, and they just fell into this abyss, and they've been yet.
I'm sorry, 0-5.
They lost 3 games in one season to the Tennessee Titans, and that's why the Titans were in the Super Bowl and they weren't.
There it is.
Despite coming in hot.
And there's no guarantees they're winning this weekend, so.
You something else.
Ron Slay has arrived early this morning and has entered and looked at Ramon Foster and says, "Man, you're something else." So I can't wait to hear.
That's a sibling thing right there. What is?
He's got a
I can't wait
shake.
to hear what's on the other side of this.
Ready to go.
What did you do? What did I do?
He gonna have to tell you.
What did we do?
And I got receipts. No, that's the reason I ain't mention it. We did something.
We did something?
It was on the him. He ain't gonna admit it yet. But I got receipts.
Oh no, I am
Bert, what are you talking about?
very
Bert?
confused on what happened here.
This is a tease.
Oh,
if I
you
ever
said
heard
he
of
wasn't 6'8".
Well, that's
Was that
always
it?
been the case. I did
Okay,
that in
well,
the
that
live
wasn't
read
it.
the
That's
other
always
day.
been a lie.
Because I always introduce you, Slay, as standing at 6'8" for the University of
Yeah.
Tennessee.
You always do the right thing, Willie.
No, man.
That's all I'm saying.
What had happened
I'm
was
not always
this.
right, but I'm right on that one.
What
I hit
happened
up a
was.
very.
What's up, KK?
What's up, Slay Dog?
I hit up a very spirited in the moment Ron Slay after the dub, and we're discussing Will Levis. Hey, we got Tajay coming on at 9:30. You mind if we bump you to Friday? Yeah, no problem. This morning's, okay, he's laid her up. He laid, I'm going to say it like the old, he laid up in the bed.
I'm laid up, man. My old lady sleep. I'm rubbing feet. My feet rubbing her feet. I just got a pedicure and everything. Yeah, I'm laid all the way up. You said it right.
He laid up.
You said it all
He
the way
laid
right.
up in the bed talking about some, I'm on today?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I said, who dropped the ball in that one? 'Cause I don't remember that.
You know what
I probably tagged you in the tweet of it. Good morning. Here's our lineup, and you're like, now what? Why has Will done this?
It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, what we talking about?
I'm easing into my Friday morning.
I screenshotted the whole conversation, but he was so spirited about Will Levis this past Tuesday, he couldn't get there.
I couldn't get there, and so it all evaporated. I'm on to better things now, Will.
We're on Balls and Hogs.
Yeah, it's
Balls
over
and
with.
Hogs,
Hey, but guess what, though? I do got something special for y'all.
You do?
Yeah.
I hope it's one of them foot rubs you was giving your old lady.
No, that was feet on feet. I can't.
Hopefully Rex Ryan is not listening to this episode.
I knew a Friday visit with Slade was going to be an electric factory. It already is.
Yeah, man. It's going down, man. I got to set some things straight. I heard a couple of y'all callers, man.
Oh.
Yeah, man. That's what made me get on up. I was going to call. I said, you know what? Let me get up, go and give me a shake. Traffic was beautiful. I don't know if everybody going on fall break or what, but
you know what Middle Tennessee is right now?
38.
38.
Yeah, sure was.
Yeah, they don't play.
That's crazy.
I'm talking about smoking down there.
So
I'm cruising here.
When we come back, we'll do this as we'll be pros and tease this. So you know on PTI, Tony Reale would come on there at the end of the show and basically give like fact checks.
Yeah.
We're gonna have our Slade check.
Okay, I like it.
Perfect.
So basically, when Ron Slade comes on the program, we just let him respond to what we've talked about. Then we get into what I have prepared for us to get into. We let Slade dictate where the conversation's going to go. We're just going to give Slade the floor to react to really our whole week if you want to.
See, whatever
crazy, you want to take.
Like
3HL got all this friggin' star power out here. I click on the TV with Savage this weekend, and it's Detective Dawn.
Yeah,
I love that so much.
Yeah, that's cold blood. I'm playing Little Dog.
That is so cool.
And then now we got Slate checks out here, okay? Man.
Checks and balances.
Checks and balances. We still need to flip these shows.
It is so much fun in both the fall and the winter. I'll be sweating out like an under 39 and a half in an Iowa game. I'll see Don Davenport. Then I'll be sweating out like an Arkansas LSU basketball over 156 and a half. Here's Slade to tell me what's going on.
Right.
Everywhere you go, you see 3HL. We love them for that. Coming up, our Slade check. And, we told you we'd give you a prescription for battered Vols syndrome. If it's flaring up a little bit this morning, you're looking in the mirror, you're inspecting, you're like, God, I got some BVS going on this morning. Ron Slade is here to cure that for you coming up next. Friday morning continues on RKW. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Ron Slay is in studio on a Friday morning. We are starting off his Trash Talk Friday a little bit earlier today.
You better know it healthy trash talk, too. This ain't just any kind of trash, because look what I got right here. PB&J with spinach, smoothie, a very, very good sausage breakfast sandwich.
English muffin on that thing.
Come on, Dree. Help him.
English muffin.
Help him.
My
You see
boys
your
in
boy.
a national.
And then what do you got around your neck there?
This right here, KK.
Talk
This
to
is a big T. Big power T. This right here. Listen, I'm before I get in there, KK, I like how you laid me into that. I was about to go off. Let me tell you this first. I know. Yeah, thank you. I know when I'm paying my lawyer good, Will Lee. I know when I'm paying my lawyer good.
The music hit.
Yeah, the music hit different, but then perception is believing. You understand what I'm saying? So when I come in there and I see my dog, he ain't have wavy flowing, but he had wavy pulled back, ponytail style. He trying to show me something, and I'm going to pick up on what he laying. I see the tape on the sides. I see the taper. I already see it. So to my lawyer, Bert, the Steven Seagal look, I'm with that.
Yeah.
I'm with the Steven Seagal right there.
I don't know who he trying to impress this weekend and these next few days.
Listen.
Somebody's mama.
No, the hell you ain't. Because Cheyenne in trouble. Cheyenne, you talking about me playing football? No, Cheyenne in trouble. Anytime my boy get tapered and hair pulled back, it's showtime. I know what my boy is. I know what he gonna do.
You about to get wore out this weekend, huh?
It's Bert's day, isn't it?
He is going
You were
out of
professional
town.
Robert yesterday. Today you're Bert.
I'm just saying, man.
He out here acting all regular.
Come on,
and stuff
trying
like
to be
he ain't-
Robert.
He ain't
you
chopped
ain't
up.
Robert. You know what I mean?
You
ain't
ain't
no O on the end of that. You ain't Roberto. You know what I mean? Feel me? You know what I mean?
They call him Bert because it's twice as
Yeah,
nice.
come on, man.
That's crazy.
I think we're embarrassing him.
No, man, they can't never get paid good. You know what I mean? I keep mine on retainer at all times, KK.
Absolutely.
He ready to roll. All right, Willie, let's get to it.
What you got for us today?
Man, listen, man. I heard y'all call in. It was sweet little angelic voice.
Ginger.
Okay, Ginger, what up? How you doing out there, man? Listen, I know, man. Listen, when you get your little, you get tobacco and all that, you know, dip and all that spit into, that can scar you. That can scar you, and I totally understand that. But this is what I'm here to tell you. When you go into the club, you know what I'm saying, where the Vols are hanging, and we got representation in there, just know it's okay. You know what I mean? It may be a fight and somebody spill a drink on you in the club. They ain't after you. No. They don't mean no harm because you with the big dogs. So then what I'm telling y'all with the BVS, when you coming in here, I told y'all week after week after week, and I got to keep explaining, and I'm almost getting tired of it. But I feel like it's my duty to give my all to the volunteers each and every day, so that's what I'm going to continue to do. Even when I'm tired, I'm still going to get up, feet hit the ground. I got to go give a Vol some love. I got to fill them up.
You always
because they tank like to go empty. I'm filling it up. Will Lee used to be there, but me and Will Lee had this talk. I remember picking me up in Baton Rouge and playing Little Boosie, and we had to go and get it together. Stop our Raising Cane's. We need the entire atmosphere and environment with us. This is what we gonna do. I'm trying to tell them, KK, listen. Hey, ladies. Hey, fellas. Ginger. Man, when you go to the club with me, you follow me, and I tell you what to do. When I tell you nod your head 2 times, when you go back by yourself, don't call me every time you get to the door. I already told you what to do. I told you who to talk to. I told you who to get a handshake with the $20 to. So you can get on there and get to the VIP, get your sex. Just be cool. Just be cool, little dog. You know what I mean? And this goes across all grounds. You ain't never got to worry. Yeah. And I heard somebody call in talking about Traylon Burks, what he gonna do. Listen. Don't nothing override or supersede my Vol love. You understand what I'm saying? This man was a dog coming out.
True.
Yeah.
He was a dog coming out of Arkansas. Has he underwhelmed? Hell yeah, he is. Am I going to take the jersey off? Hell no, I ain't. But one thing about it, going into this weekend, he better not pick up the phone because I'm going to make him put his whole whole paycheck on the line. And I know what my boys gonna do, because I told y'all last week, them boys sit up big chested.
Big chest.
Yeah, big chested. I told you going into North Carolina State, and ain't no need in tripping. Never no need in tripping. When you going to North Carolina State, you just give it time. My dog tried to tell you, it's gonna be a neutral site. Will Lee said, no the hell it ain't. It's gonna be 60-40, maybe 65-35. You wasn't wrong. You done been to the book of Slay, and I like it. And that's what I'm trying to tell you going into the Oklahoma, when the big bulldogs sit up and their chest is broad and they look good, you don't pet them. These volunteer dogs, you don't pet them, KK. This ain't red.
No.
This ain't red. No. Red, you throw the frisbee, go to the park, have a good time, let them off the leash. These dogs right here, you don't let them off the leash. I told y'all Elijah Simmons was a what? A cane corso. And what did he do first play? Come here. Say what? Yeah, that's what we do. We bite. We bark good, we bite. You hear me? And then right behind that, Norman Lott. Then you start hearing about people you don't even know. Jenkins.
Come on now.
Come on, man. Like, what my other boy name from Stanford with the big tattoo?
Jackson Moy.
Jackson Moy. We don't even know him. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's a kettle of these. Kettle of these dogs. A kennel of these dogs.
That's why your dog here.
That's why my dog here to go and correct me in time. Yeah, Zeus, we got him in the house. Zeus don't belong outside. These Elijah Simmons, these Norman Lotts, these big O's, they belong outside. Peerless. Come on. Big piece of chain dangling. Coming down, hanging. Yeah. Arkansas, y'all in trouble. Your little hogs with your teeth. One of my favorite coaches in the SEC besides Hyper. Sam Pittman.
Yes, sir.
Heck yeah.
I love him to death.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Love that man told me I can get on his porch, drink bourbon with him and a cigar. I said, you know what? I'll be there. I like that. I ain't had the chance to make it up there yet, but when I do, I'm going to take him up on it because I like him. But this weekend, your ass is mine. Arkansas, y'all in trouble. Taylor Green, you going to the left today, baby. Ain't no rolling right. I'm trying to tell you, spark it up, man. All that PVS, y'all done lost y'all mind. Believe what your eyes is showing you. Believe what you seeing. If you didn't know it, that's him. That's him. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. That's the only thing you gonna hear. We ain't playing around with it. We is not playing around with it.
You know how they do them hog hunts too, and they ain't just laying them down with the gun. They put them big old collars around them dogs, and then them dogs find them in them weeds.
Man, go get him.
Then you grab them by them back legs.
Go get him.
Then you caught him.
Come on, man.
Then you caught him. Let him bleed out. That's all you saying.
We ain't out here to play around, man. All that BVS, man, y'all get rid of that. I'm gonna come in here week by week and week by week and week by week and tell y'all the same exact thing. Ginger, you spit back on them. And I ain't listen. I ain't for violence, but they spit on you on accident. You spit on them on accident.
Like when the dude in Baton Rouge knocked down your 2 beers in Tiger Stadium.
I was looking for him. I was about to pass out. I text Savage right then. Savage, send me some more money, baby. I need more bills. These bills high as hell in here.
That was as speechless as I've ever seen Slay.
This man done spilled my bill.
They just do that.
I'm looking for him, boy. I'm out there, boy. That sun is beating my head down. You hear me?
It was so hot.
It was hot, man.
Hey, I got one.
Knock my bills over.
I got one for you, Slay. You know what the difference between a pig and an onion is?
What?
I cry when I cut onions.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Rooted to the tutor. I like it. I like it, Bert.
This is not Charlotte's Web.
I like it.
You grab them by the back legs so them tusks don't get you. They can be a little dangerous. That's Taylor.
I like it.
Tomorrow morning, the prescription you have, if you got BVS flaring up this morning, make your bacon a little extra crispy.
There you go.
You know, I made some at the crib.
We so did. Let it hang dry. Yeah,
I can't wait. I can't wait to throw it on that pan.
We'll bring it back.
Yeah, I said breakfast sandwich tomorrow morning.
You hear me?
Right
there.
I think that is the thing, though, Slay, that is exciting about this Tennessee team is that in order for them to lose, something different that we've not seen Tennessee or Arkansas do is going to happen. And it's college football. Like, that's obviously, like, you got to take care of your own business. But I think Tennessee now at this point, and where Tennessee fans need to take a deep breath, is, like, I think Tennessee's C-plus game is still good enough to go on the road and beat a team like Arkansas.
Right. And on top of that, Will Lee, I had some reps up there, man. Jumped on the radio with them, and they happened to be on with a player. And I don't know why he would say this. I'm going to figure out who the player was. It was a DN, if I ain't mistaken. But they honestly think that Nico is overrated. And that's okay. They do. You know what I'm saying? So when you walk into a situation, it seems like they would want him to pass. So I think it's an opportunity here, you know what I mean, with these tackles being healthy, to really go out here and show them. And even if it was the C game, the B game, what you're about to witness in Arkansas, it's y'all pride that's going to get in the way in this one, I believe. Because I think when you talk about the Vols and what Taylor Green is, I think it's respected.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't heard this team come out and talk. They've been flying under the radar as much as they could anyway, besides guys speaking out of the locker room. You ain't heard that none.
Nope.
SEC Media Day, you didn't hear any of that. So I think you walking into this situation humbled, willing to show again why you are who you are on a primetime game. And Arkansas, if they get to feeling themselves and they got to talk themselves up, I think it might be trouble.
And Taylor Green's got really high highs, and he's got really low lows as well. He's got as many picks as he does touchdowns this year.
He said when we was watching the game, he was like, man, at some point he'll give you one, and he did.
Right
it's
on cue.
And a lot of it is he's young.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of it is he's young. He don't really know what he don't know right now, and he's used to playing erratic because when you step up, you're playing against some different athletes. It just is what it is.
I sometimes I don't like to buy into themes of seasons, but I do at certain points. I like this one the Vols got going on.
I do
for
too.
that reason of like mentality. B2A. We can say it on there?
Yeah, you can.
Boots to ass.
Yeah.
Belt
to ass.
Oh,
yeah,
it's not
that's what it be.
Either way. Oh, belts.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
No, I
you gotta have that whip on.
That has been Boo Carter. Boo Carter every Thursday posts a picture of him tackling somebody and says B2A countdown. That's how many hours it is to kick off.
I'm trying to see when them boys pick up Tommy John. They need Tommy John like Big Jeff did from whipping it.
Right?
Gotta have that
Work
whip.
that elbow out.
Gotta have all that KK
going. It's going all across all sports right now.
I'm here, Savage.
Oh my
It's Friday.
God.
It's Friday.
But the genesis of that to me, I guess the core of that slogan to me is we gonna have to beat y'all butts.
Yeah, ain't no question.
We just this is what we gonna do. It's pretty on offense, but we gonna have to beat y'all down.
And that's what I was telling Yoro yesterday. Like when we're talking about teams in the SEC, even Vanderbilt, outside of Vanderbilt, just Mississippi State, I think is the only one that teams can kind of overlook.
Yeah,
because they trying to rebuild and it's just not good right now.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But everybody else, man, you go end up playing around, they'll get you.
They're going to try to give you their best shot.
Yes,
every time.
it's no ifs, ands, or buts. There is no off night. Even with Pavia coming over to Vanderbilt, he brings a different element. We said they need to do something, whether it be cute, whether it be shadows, whether it be window dressing, whatever they need to do it offensively to try to even the playing field. And with that shotgun triple option, that evens the playing field. You play to a player's strength instead of trying to go mano a mano. Y'all just don't have them players yet. Even though they look better, you don't have them players. So I don't think you walk into anything looking at it as a trap game. You know what I'm saying? Across the board. Not just for Tennessee, but Georgia going to Auburn. Like, all of these games, Florida and UCF, even though UCF ain't in the conference, like, you don't overlook any of these people because you got to bring it. If you don't, you're getting beat.
UCF got an SEC coach.
And they got an SEC quarterback.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's known what it is. But I do think, to your point, man, when you look at this core group, this is as quiet as it's been. This is a veteran-led group. You know what I mean? When you talk about Peely, you know what I mean? You talk about Aaron Carter have to sit out. It's one thing to get out there and play and then get it snatched from you. And then you sit with a veteran and watching the film room and you picking up on a 26-year-old, what he's telling you, 27-year-old, what he's telling you, and what he's seeing in the game. And you already have the intelligent mind enough like Aaron Carter to pick up on that. His IQ is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you got Omari and them up front, Norman Lott. All these guys came back. You know what I mean? A lot of guys could have bolted, but then you got guys that watch James Pierce, like Josephs, Tyree West. You know what I mean? When he talked about T-Lander for real. Like, think about all these guys that came through the trenches and came and worked, and now you plugging, like Brent Hubbs was talking about earlier. You taking a guy from Oregon State, like you said. You know what I mean? You plugging him in. Now, okay, Danico Slaughter, man, we wish you would. We wish you the best, dog. But we got somebody right here.
See you at the coin toss.
You know what I mean?
We have somebody better. Yeah.
Case in point, last year with the linebackers, when Arion got hurt,
Yeah.
and you had to, what were we at? Like, respectfully, it's like, man, what are we doing at middle linebacker right now?
Yeah,
You don't
freshman.
have, you don't have that question no more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like this year, if like you mentioned T-Lander. Like the plays that he made last year as a freshman, and now be at this point to where if Arian Carter did have to come out, or Keenan Peely did miss time, like you feel better because of that.
Right.
And that's why I think, like, that's why I said earlier, like my BVS is at a 1. Why? Because I simply do think in a good bit of these games, the Vols are better on paper. And we ain't been there. And you mentioned the
That's been the
bigs.
toughest
Like
part.
the bigs have been the biggest thing that I don't think we've had in a very long time. I personally, I don't. When you mentioned, I don't know if you even talked to Elijah on this, but I didn't expect him to start the game in Oklahoma.
I didn't either.
Play one.
Neither did Jackson Arnold, clearly.
He didn't see that coming.
But that's what he brings, though. That's the depth. Even if you're trying to save somebody, keep them fresh, I'd rather play. Like, you got to play. Rodney Gardner is at a point where he can play mind games with his guys, and the offensive line. You probably coming out Norman Lott or Mari Thomas. I got to get ready for him.
That's what I thought.
That's, you know what I mean? But you put him up front. This dude is salivating.
Yeah.
Like, he came with the man jersey barely fit. Like, he can't wait to bust out and get to it, man. Like, this is what it is. Like, you got guys lined up, man, and it's good to see. I think the only question that we would always have, and it gets thrown out of the window in this game because Lance Hurd and Campbell are healthy.
Yeah.
Like, we kept saying going into the season, they got to get some depth at O-line. Like, that's the next step. You know what I'm saying? You got running backs that are coming along. You got a quarterback. You got guys on the outside. If somebody were to go down, you see how it can be detrimental to you.
Right.
With Campbell going down when Hurd wasn't playing, it was like, oh, man, luckily we got this defense. Luckily we got a lead before Campbell went down. Hurd didn't play this game. Let's run this rock. Let's protect this lead. Let's get the hell out of here. Smart.
Yep.
You have the opportunity to do that now. So with those two in, that's why I think it's going to be dangerous, man. And I think Nico he going to come out letting that thing fly, man, because there's plenty of opportunities because of what you got to, you got to focus on something.
And that's what's interesting about Tennessee so far through these 4 games is because a lot of people were like, well, why didn't Josh Heupel put his foot on the gas pedal in that Oklahoma game? If I'm Josh Heupel and I'm looking at what he's done up to this point, where he's been able to go to his backups early on in games, where he hasn't had to open up the playbook completely. To me, that's a huge benefit to Tennessee, that you're not showing all your cards right away. You're playing smart to your opponent in those moments. I think that honestly overshadows a lot. Whereas some of these other teams, they've got to put it all in full force.
And it's huge because you're in communication with your quarterback.
Right.
Now, the other guys on the outside may get a little antsy.
Sure.
Brew McCoy, I was about to say
Dante
Tillman,
Thornton.
but Dante Thornton, Brazel, like Matthews,
might be in there
Squirrel,
too.
like you got all these guys, the tight ends, like all these guys can get antsy, but the common force in all of that is when your communication is open with the quarterback who's been through this and seen it with you, he can settle all that down. Dog, so when I do get the opportunity and we run a pass, I'm going to hit you. Stay hungry, continue running your routes, continue blocking. When it's time, I'm going to get you right. Dog, don't worry. And they're going to capitalize on it. So I think, man, you're in a good spot. I don't think we've seen this communication that we're seeing to this level between coach and quarterback, and probably Cooper Mays, even though we're not seeing it. I guarantee it's a communication there.
For sure.
That's a calming force with all these guys.
And I know that I always bring this up because I just loved the conversation. I sat and talked with Gabe Giudicelli for like 25 minutes in the locker room. He was talking about Nico and just how beneficial it was for him to sit behind both of those guys in Milton and Hendon. He goes, he learns just so much from that alone.
Yeah. Plus, he's not a dumb player. His IQ high.
He's
anyway.
already smart as it is.
And he's been in team games. It ain't like he was cold-blooded in tennis and then he was cold. You know what I mean? Even though soccer's a team game. You know what I'm saying? Like, our baseball, he was playing volleyball. Like, you depend on your teammates to set you up. You feel what I'm saying? That's a whole that's a whole different concept. And then to walk over into the football game and it's never about him, but he lets his actions and his play, that's what shines the light. It ain't him barking and speaking loud or telling you what he gonna do. Man, that's different. Arch Manning got the same thing.
Yeah, he does.
You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing.
Confidence.
Yeah, it's the same thing. That's the pushback that's not in the genetics of a guy like Shedeur Sanders. He gets it.
Sure.
That's genetics.
It's
Like, that's just who he is.
Yeah.
But he shows it with his actions as well.
Right.
I'm just saying it's just two different players, two different characters in that sense.
They both get it done when it comes down to it.
You know what I'm saying? Regardless how you like it, if you don't like it, one thing you won't do is walk away from that game saying, they really ain't that good.
Yep.
More than one way to skin a cat or cook bacon.
A cat.
Real quick, who's in more trouble, Mizzou or Florida this weekend?
Well, let's do that next.
That's a good one, boy.
And let me throw Ole Miss in there, too.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, South Carolina, Mizzou, A&M, Florida, UCF. We'll get Slay's thoughts on all of that coming up next.
What's going on, guys? Sometimes good people go through hard times and they need help getting back on their feet, or in this case, a roof back over their heads. That's why North Point Roofing Systems is here to give you a little bit of peace of mind.
And here's the thing, too. If you've ever priced out a roof, you know what an incredible opportunity this is, because if you visit 1045 The Zone and register and tell us why you're the most deserving homeowner or maybe someone else, North Point Roofing Systems truck will be pulling up to in front of your house. Again, as Bert said, good people go through hard times, and you know what? Good people can't control weather and the bad things that may happen to the house, specifically the roof. That is a headache for almost anybody. So head over to 1045thezone.com right now to register for a free roof for you or someone else you know.
Go get your roof.
RKW, Ramon, Kalen, Will, wrapping up the show and wrapping up another great week here in the program. Ron Slay is with us. Slay, Ramon asked a great question before the break. Between Ole Miss, Missouri, and Florida. I don't know why I enunciated that so clean.
Said it like Weezy.
Florida. Just let me be a broadcast pro real quick. It's fine.
Oh, my goodness.
Who's in most trouble this weekend?
Darn, boy. Man, that's a tough one right there. For some reason, and I don't know why I'm buying into this, but I think it could be Ole Miss.
I agree.
Because, man, what they got coming off the edge, number 5 and number 6, man. Them two dudes.
Dylan Stewart's that guy.
Oh, my gosh. And then the other guy, I forgot his name, man. I said it yesterday.
You did say yesterday.
But, man, he's a problem as well. He's a senior. So I think them being able to get off the Jackson Dart, man, and control that tempo of that offense, it could be a problem. You know what I mean?
Tyreek Johnson, Jordan Strachan.
No, it's one more is the edge guy.
And Kyle Kennard.
That's him. Kyle Kennard. That's him right there. Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart, them some dogs. But
that was last year's duo. Kennard and Stewart are this year.
Yeah. So my thing is, up there, that crowd can get rowdy. I think it's an undersold crowd. As far as South Carolina goes,
Yeah. Underrated.
Sneaky, very, very underrated.
Yep.
So I think you got that. But then with Texas A&M, I felt like they should have won the game earlier this year against Notre Dame. So now you got another opportunity with a top-ranked team coming in Missouri who's unproven, who I think, man, didn't know what they had in Schroeder. Is his name? Wasn't that the running back from Missouri?
Schrader last year.
I don't think they knew what they had in him. Because if you go back and watch their games, it was so many third and longs that they honestly were just giving him the ball and being like, I get what you can and go down, we'll punt. We cool with that. But he'll carry guys, 4 or 5 guys for first downs, and then he never came out the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different. That's different, man. So
Got a bell cow.
Yeah, I don't think they knew what they had in them. So I think Texas A&M. I honestly think Texas A&M gets Missouri. I've been wavering on this, but I thought, man, with the next time coming around, now it all depends on if Marcel Reed starts. If they don't start Marcel Reed, I think Texas A&M loses.
I agree.
Like it ain't no question about it. You got to have a dynamic guy. Yeah.
How hard of a decision is that, though? I mean, your starter went down, but your backup is crushed.
Dance with who, Brian? You at this point?
Yeah, but but it's like, golly, what do you do? What do you do to Wakeman?
Because he's been winning the Florida game.
Yes,
he put them on his back.
Yeah. And he's getting to play with instincts and stuff. So, and I think it gives us something different that Connor wasn't giving them anyway. You know what I mean? So I would roll with him, but those are my two.
I think in the SEC you got to roll with who's hot.
Right.
I mean, it's like
yep.
Well, whoever is going to give you the best. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Vanderbilt, Alabama, Slay.
Man, you know what's crazy? Man, I was talking to one of my reps, man, and he was like, man, if you can get that at 21, I think Vandy could cover that 21. Now, I think it's going to be tough coming off, but his method to that was they were going to have a little drop-off because of the game last week. Mm-hmm. And, I'm not one for trap games or anything like that. I think Bama wins, but there can be a little bit of a lull. You know what I mean? As far because that was a hell of a game. Like that was it. That was everything. And then the fight to be able to keep that lead and then make plays, that's a high like no other. So
it's hard to come off of right away.
Yeah,
right?
Right away. So how do they respond to it? I do think that's a veteran bunch as well. You know what I mean? But what are they looking for to get out of this game? Are they trying to get Williams off again? You know what I mean? Let him get his yards. Are they trying to establish anybody else? It's going to be interesting. Milroe, is he still chasing? They're going to give him an opportunity to chase the Heisman. And I think Clark Lee being able to focus on the defense, having a bye week going into this, can throw a hurdle in there. I ain't saying stop him, but he can definitely throw a hurdle to make him go back and reassess things and come back out.
The first half then.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's why I am with it.
That's why I am with it. Maybe.
That's why I am with it. So if Vander would have gone, Vander boy, y'all won't put yourself on the map. Go on, beat them.
Do the right thing.
Go on, show me something. Show me something. Show me something.
And the challenge of that game is like the deception and the trickery and the motion and the eye candy can only get you so far.
Right.
Because I think that can work against less disciplined defenses and teams that can't win at the point of attack as much. But the best way to stop the option is to give the quarterback no option.
Right.
Because you got a guy in the backfield before that mesh point could even really be read.
Right.
That you just take away the timing and the rhythm of the option offense, and there is no way to get around that other than just trying something else and throwing the football over their heads.
And understand is they haven't met this type of physicality that Alabama's supposed to bring.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In the first couple of games that they played, you've been able to go with the window dress and go east and west.
Right.
Like now you got guys that are physically imposing that can go east and west with you. So it's like, so can Pavia withstand those hits? Because he runs the ball real well, but he takes some hits, man. So
Can protect himself.
Can he stay in the game?
It's going to be a little different with these guys bearing down on you. So.
I'm really looking forward to that. This A&M Missouri one.
That's the one.
That's got me in a chokehold right now.
That's the one right there.
You don't have to keep me updated because I got a football game.
Real quick, I got to ask you about Will Levis because earlier this week and talking about when you're fresh off something.
We got 1 minute.
Just what do you have you altered at all with your thoughts with rolling with him?
My only thing, KK, is I can't because he won't allow me to.
Yeah.
Like I've tried to.
It's hard.
Yeah, I've tried to last year. I've tried to this year. And I thought coming into it, he was taking steps towards the right direction, but it's the catastrophic plays that makes me personally take the step back and be like, what are you doing right there? You know what I'm saying? Like, just don't. And I said it on this show 3 weeks ago. Dog, the motto should be, if you don't lose it, we'll win it. I mean, it's that simple. You know what I'm saying? And I understand the mental edge that he has and that ferocious energy that he comes with.
Take a chill pill sometimes.
I mean, you have to because it's alarming to watch you do this, my man. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? I still think I'm just not of the guy to be like week 10 pull him. If he's coming out his bye week and start, you got to ride all the way out with him.
Way.
Don't put Mason in there. So the last 7 games, and he go 4-3 or 5-2, and then we right there picking between 15 and 25. You know what I'm saying?
So you said if you roll with him,
let's do it. Let's do it. I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? Just don't pull him.
I'm not. It's too many other personalities.
I agree.
And careers on the line for him to be trashed.
It's tricky.
I agree. I agree.
It's probably one of the more frustrating conversations, honestly.
That's why I'm.
Yeah, I know.
I'm telling y'all, like, give me the opportunity to win. And for the other veterans in this locker room.
You're for putting Mason in now.
Yeah, because he's not going to lose it. He may not win the game for you, but he damn sure ain't going to lose the game for you. From what we've seen, and I'm going off of his resume and Will's resume. Is Will still doing what we thought he would do when he came into the league? Yeah. He did the exact same thing coming into the league. I mean, that it is what it is. Did Mason last year take a team where they back was against the wall in the AFC North against better teams with lesser talent on the offense than this Titans team does have and take them to the playoffs? Yeah. So, I mean, that's all I can go off of.
Yeah. I understand.
You can't say that because your brother played for the Steelers, so you're a humble.
I got plenty of jerseys.
3 to 6. Ron Slay is on 3HL weekdays. You already know, and you're going to be tuned in. Tonight in the Zone, Brentwood and Franklin. Lucas Panzica joins me in the broadcast booth tonight. The 46th meeting between Brentwood and Franklin tonight. Join us at 6:45 tonight on the Zone.
Who with you tonight?
Lucas.
Man.
Lucas is gracing us with his presence. Television's Lucas Panzica.
Also, we got an ACC expert joining the Lucas Panzica show.
Robert Walsh is on as an ACC correspondent in 20 minutes.
Robert Walsh, your lawyer.
Didn't even tell us.
That's crazy. We're back at it Monday morning. Ramon Foster sent us home.
Y'all know your Twitter thing is that you might always go Vols.
Slate ride on 3HL today, y'all.